extra large big ticket, premium. About that time you believe in me. Yeah, I'ma lay it down, grabbing that crown, laying dollars on the ground, gonna double up now. 65, 4, 3, 2, one more time. Heavy punchline about to prove it. Lay low, lay high, lay low, lay high. Clear your heads now, watch a peek. Let me go and prove my worth, let me earn it. Gonna pass this test and get me a permit. Watch how I do, sit down, observe it. Fires in my soul, uncontrollable burn. Look at me then, look at me now. Correct your bones to Buddha cool, make you bow now. Class one to a point to see. Blow kiss goodbye while they scream and shriek. Let it go, let it out, let it go, let it out. Take a deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Lay low, lay high, lay low, lay high. If you feel my vibes, then pop with me. Let it go, let it out, let it go, let it out. Take a deep breath, deep breath, deep breath.
We're here. Wow.
Yo.
Wow. Another episode of the Social Links podcast. Can you believe it?
I can believe it. You know what?
can't.
I did say it lasts more than 3 episodes, and this naysayer did not believe me. But I always knew it could
It's
happen.
ending next episode, for sure. We're not making it to 7.
Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
That being said, okay? I'm glad we scared a lot of people at the intro again. I think we should make the intro even louder, I think.
I agree,
Do you think-
actually.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
should make
agree.
it. The next time the intro plays, I think it should just blow people's ears. They just break their headphones or something. Absolutely.
Yeah, next episode,
demolish
if you're not having tinnitus after you hear that opening, we didn't do our jobs correctly.
them. Anyways, today is a very special episode of the Social Links podcast. Because we have.
Oh, really?
We have
Why is that?
We have our first guest. Episode 6, first guest for the Social Links podcast.
Episode 5, moron. Whatever. Continue.
Episode 5. First Wow, oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm just so ready for it to end.
So you're so ready for it to continue, screen.
We have our first guest.
going.
IncompetentC, why don't you do the introductions and talk about what we're doing here today?
Okay.
Fuck you.
Today, we have Junebug Paradise from Twitter.
Hello.
Because
What's good?
it feels a bit, weird to do this now because everyone is happy because we got Raidou Remastered announced a few days ago,
that's pretty true. It kind of ruined this whole thing, but it's okay.
But me and Junebug had a bit of a disagreement when Junebug in June. I'll just say June. Junebug sounds weird.
Yeah.
Had a bit of disagreement when Persona 4 Remake's domain, which we will talk about in detail a bit more, but Persona 4 Remake had its domain leaked, meaning that Atlas are probably considering it, or it's probably very much underway. And I was pretty positive on it, and June was not. And that sparked. She went to my DMs, was like, "Hey, do you wanna social links?" Okay. She just said social links in bold text and DMs. That's it. And I knew what that meant. And now we're gonna have a debate as to whether or not Persona 4 Remake is or can be justified. In the current climate.
I'm on the side of the virtuous. Fuck Atlas.
Based.
I'm on the
To be clear,
I'm on the side that
One thing with this domain, it's not just that they're considering the Persona 4 remake. I'm pretty sure Persona 3 Reloads was registered, I think 2 or 3 months before it was revealed. So there's high odds that we get a reveal for Persona 4 remake within the next few months. It's not just being considered; it's probably close to done at this point.
Yeah, I don't think they'd register a domain unless it was happening.
Yeah, so it's probably within. My guess is the Xbox show in June. So oh my god, in June. Now, that was a good one. That was a good one. All right. Anyways, yes. So we have a little bit of a debate here, okay? And in the interest of not 2v1ing, and also I hate IncompetentC. I never want to defend his positions ever.
I want to blow your head.
It will hurt me. I will say one thing in this debate: if IncompetentC is closer to my position, which I'm not entirely sure about yet, but if he is, it's going to be very annoying watching him make all the wrong arguments. But that's all right. I'm here. I'm going to try to be an unbiased moderator and pretty much just let these two go at it. So yeah, that's the position. Well, IncompetentC, why don't you start? Introduce your position on the Persona 4 remake.
Okay, my position on Persona 4 Remake is I think that Persona 4 Remake is in concept good idea and absolutely has grounds to be considered justified, even given that the backlog that Atlas hasn't brought over yet. That's my stance. I'd say.
What an introductory statement. Okay, June. What do you think?
My stance on like a potential Persona 4 remake is that I see it as kind of a redundant like thing, because Persona 4, aside from the dungeons which are like shitty ass from a butt, like it plays pretty modern. A lot of like modern series conventions came from Persona 4 and especially from Golden. And I don't really see why we need to like remake Persona 4 other than visuals, which I know PS2 graphics aren't palatable to everybody, but I think these people should grow up. So my main problem with the Persona 4 remake lies in the fact that they're spending time and resources giving us a remake of a game that is already like pretty easily available for fucking $20 on all modern storefronts, instead of bringing over their massive backlog of games that are so insanely important to like Atlas history, like Shin Megami Tensei 1, 2, shit like that, that they just don't even like want to like do like a port of. I think that's a stab in the, not like a stab in the back, but it feels bad as an Atlas fan, as somebody who loves like all of their games.
Okay, it's a pretty strong stance.
It's true.
IncompetentC, go ahead. What do you think?
Okay. So, the thing with Persona 4 Remake is Atlas will. Well, first, actually, no, let's not go from that angle. Let's start with this basic. I think that there is enough grounds for beyond just Look, I'm not one of those people who thinks that P4G is some antiquated garbage game because it was on the PS2 originally. I think, or P4 was on the PS2 originally. I think that a remake can be justified even if like it's not about. I don't see it as modernizing. I see it as just an attempt to have a current P studio handle an older title that they can bring their own. I guess I don't know if I'd say flair, but their own like process to. Like similar to what happened with Reload. I think Persona 3 Reload would have been justified even if Persona 3 already like was accessible, or Persona 3 FES specifically. I think with or without its accessibility, a remake could have absolutely been justified, and I feel the exact same way about P4. I just don't think it's about it. I don't think it needs to be about making it just accessible or making it just modern. I think that without all that, it's still justified.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
So here's my thing. This is what bothers me about that argument you make, is I think it makes no fucking sense, because from like a logistical standpoint, like okay, like I know I'm a very big like video games are art person, but like logistically from Atlas's perspective, these are business decisions. For what? Like they're not like remaking Persona 3 to like add to like have a new team take their own spin on it. And if we're gonna be honest, the new team's own spin on it was Blue Persona 5. So like I don't know, I don't really think that's a good argument when fucking Persona 4 Rewind or whatever they'll call it will presumably be very similar to Reload, and all that like Reload aimed to do, other than like like sell Persona 3 again and bring Persona 3 to a modern audience, was to modernize Persona 3 by injecting Persona 5 into it, which will probably happen with Persona 4 as well. So like I think from like a functional standpoint, remakes like Reload, because there's different kinds of remakes in my opinion, but remakes like Reload and like how Persona 4 will be, pretty much exist to replace the original.
I don't think I agree with that. I think even if they try it, even if that's the mentality they have going into it, regardless of that or not, no remake can ever be a replacement for a original game. And I think what you said about how logistically, like, is as a business decision, sure, it is a business, and as a business, it does make sense to remake Persona 4 because
money.
Money. It's easy to do because Persona 3 and Persona 4 already, like, the original titles already share a lot under the hood. So it gives them an opportunity to do it again, but with Persona 3 Reload as a base, and just build off of that to make Persona 4's remake. The thing is, though, I don't see the argument about like how you mentioned it earlier, that how it bites to be an Atlas fan when they have all these games they haven't brought over yet, and they're bringing P4 over. I don't think P4 being brought over is holding up these other games from being brought over, and I don't think that has any impact
Okay.
It's a different
Well,
it's a different situation, but
I wanna explain why I think that like remakes can functionally replace the original just by using Reload as an example. So the two you can as you know, and most people listening know, the two versions of Persona 3 that you can buy on all modern platforms right now are Reload or Portable. I think we all agree the portable port. First of all, Persona 3 Portable sucks fucking ass. I'm sorry guys,
thank
it's
you.
bad.
Okay, we found
It's
common
fucking
ground. I do
bad.
agree with
I'm
that. It
sorry
does fucking
guys,
suck.
it's shit. It's shit. It's so bad. I'm sorry. But even if you like portable, we can all agree that PC port slash console port is heavily compromised in a lot of ways that are pretty fucking embarrassing. And then
Yeah.
there's Reload. So what if somebody wants to play Persona 3 Fest in 2025 and they don't have a PlayStation 2, a PlayStation 3, or a computer capable of running it? They can't. They literally cannot play Persona 3 Fest. So that's the thing. When I'm recommending Persona 3 to people, which is formerly my favorite video game of all time, I straight up can't really recommend them my favorite oh my god. I can't recommend them my favorite version of the game because Reload is the only accessible like alternative that is like near the say like the standard of quality I want, but I'd still prefer to recommend the original. That's the problem.
Well,
And again, Persona 4 remake, I see your point more there because Golden will still be accessible and stuff, but like I don't know. I just don't see the point of it. I don't see its purpose.
would you have felt differently about Reload if FES was also ported to modern platforms?
I'd still have problems with it, but I would be a little bit less mad about that part. Yeah.
Well, this feels a little confusing because, like, you're saying on one hand that Persona 4 remake is not needed because Persona 4 Golden is an accessible title. There's nothing to replace or nothing to bring over. But you don't like Reload because it's being treated as a replacement for something they haven't brought over yet. I don't understand.
Yeah, I just don't think.
Yeah.
I'm just generally as a person, I'm a little anti-remake. Now don't look at my tweets about Raidou. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. That's different. That's different. I swear. I swear it's different. Um, but I'm just kind of anti-remake in general. Like I just think remasters should always be the way to go. I think the original work should be the way to go, and it's just like, what is the point of remaking Persona 4 when it's already accessible, it's already modern, and you can like I don't know. I just don't see the point of it. Why?
Well, you brought up earlier that Reload wasn't made with the intent to kind of give a new team a spin on Persona 3. If that had been the case, would you have been more pro remake in that scenario?
Um, if their goal was to actually bring a new spin on Persona 3, because the goal is not to like, like iterate on Persona 3 in some like unique and interesting way. It's to make Persona 3 play more like Persona 5.
I think I mean, even if that is like the sole intent and that is the only thing that Persona 3 Reload had the purpose of, which I don't think is entirely true, I still think it's justified as like another take on the game because that style of Persona is what a lot of Atlas fans have come to know and love. And even if it is a bit, I guess, uniform, and I guess that's the statement I'd use to describe it, it kind of strips away some of the things that make Persona 4 or Persona 3 unique. It is still the flavor of Atlas a lot of people do really, really love, and I don't see anything wrong with, especially if the original game is accessible, as in Persona 4's case. I don't see a problem with giving that avenue to a lot of people who like the modern style of like Atlas game, or sorry, like the P5 style of Atlas games, that kind of gameplay systems. I think that's definitely justified in that sense at the very least. It'll bring in more people.
Okay, so like I see what you're saying, and like I like the way that like Persona 5 plays too. Like again, I said this before the stream started. If you're a Persona 5 hater and you hate the story, that's like cool because I don't really like the Persona 5 story. But if you look me dead in the eyes and say Persona 5 is not a fun game, you're a fucking bitch. That's a true fact. And like my thing, oh my god, I'm losing my train of thought. Holy fuck, I'm so mad. No, yeah, I don't think there's a problem with liking Persona 5 gameplay, but my issue with like needing Persona 3 to play like Persona 5 in order for you to experience it, not that you're like this, but this hypothetical person that we're talking about, is that I think someone's inability to interact with Persona 3 Fez on the base level and interact with its mechanics, even though they're different, is like a key problem with like video games as a whole right now, where people really aren't willing to experience friction and learn how to deal with friction in any way. Because if it doesn't play the exact way they expect it to, then they get mad and they don't like it, and now it's clunky. And my thing is that people should be more open-minded and should be more willing to like try things out of their comfort zone. And I don't think that we should be just like you know making the whole industry into this massive Ouroboros with how like it's like a snake eating itself. Like that's my thing.
IncompetentC, can I ask you something before you respond to that?
Yeah, what's up?
All right, there's a two-parter question. Okay, the first one is, do you think Persona 3 Reload plays like Persona 5? Like combat-wise, at least.
I think it takes cues from it. I don't know if I'd say it 1-to-1 though.
Okay.
Oh,
but
come
it does
on.
definitely take cues from it.
And
come on.
Do you feel like Persona 3 lost part of its personality in Reload because of the combat changes?
I'd honestly say it lost more personality, not really even with the combat, but more with the loss of tired. But would you consider that combat? I mean, I don't know.
That'd be gameplay probably, but
it's
like,
definitely part of it, yeah.
Do you think just as a whole that it took a big hit on its personality and whatnot, with changing a lot of those things? Or do you think it was able to maintain it?
Sure. I think it maintains most of it. I do think that Reload, even like with some of the atmospheric changes and some of the gameplay changes, I still think it maintains the like core of what Persona 3 should be, or it was originally. I think my biggest issues with Persona 3 are mainly aesthetic things. I don't think the changes they made to gameplay are my biggest critiques of it.
Okay. Do you want to respond to what June said, or do you want to go in a different direction? I do have another question I want to get. But...
Can I say into that?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't even think the fact that they changed the combat is a problem. I would actually not complain about the combat at all, or the fact that it's Blue Persona 5 now, if they still let like the original combat, like if they still preserved that, if they let you pick. If they like, because the tactics menu in Reload is fucking embarrassing. Like if they preserved the tactics menu in any way comparable to the PS2 version, then I wouldn't care. I'd be like, cool, you can pick now. That's lit.
I do agree with on the point about the party panel, or the party controls. I do think that they've been lacking ever since Persona 3. Ever since Persona 4. They just haven't put the same thought into them because most people are using direct control. And I do agree that there is a lot like ludonarratively to be gained from that lack of direct control. And that was the point. There's multiple developer interviews where they say that. But I don't really think that its loss is necessarily like... It's definitely a hit to the game's, like, I guess, I don't want to use this word because it's a buzzword, I guess, soul. But I don't think that... I don't think that it's enough of a hit to lose what makes Persona 3 worthwhile. And that same mentality, I think, can be applied to Persona 4. I don't think if you changed the gameplay and made it look gave it Unreal Engine visuals, I don't think that you're losing out on what made it great or what made it like unique. I think you're taking some of it. But I do think that uniformness is necessary to bring more people in to what some of the things they loved about P5. And I will say things like the C's outfits. I think they're justified in Persona 3, maybe, but I don't think they'd be justified in Persona 4. I don't think there is any reason to give them outfits like P5 thieves. They might, and I don't think they should. I think that is an actual problem on making the games too similar to one another. But as far as like gameplay and even presentation to an extent goes, I don't see an issue with taking some of those cues from P5 because I don't think like especially aesthetically in terms of like, I guess UI would be the biggest example. I don't even think that the clean and like bombastic UIs of P5 are necessarily just a P5 thing now. I think they're just an Atlas entirely like wide thing. Most of their games nowadays love using like big UIs, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay, I would argue though that there's a shift after Persona. There's a massive shift after Persona 5 though.
In terms of how they do UI?
Yeah, there's a massive shift.
Sure, absolutely, there is. Yeah, I agree. I think
also argue this starts in Persona 4, really.
The UI, like the big like changes to how they handle UI, you mean?
Yeah, I'd say it starts happening in Persona 4, but then there's like a massive shift with P5.
Yeah, I probably agree. Yeah. I think that there is nothing wrong with. Thank you for the ringer on your phone.
No problem, buddy. I made sure I got that in.
I think that there's up. Sorry, what's up?
I was gonna ask a question. I agree when we say that with Persona 5 and maybe like P4G and whatnot, that UI kind of took a big stylistic change in Atlas and almost became part of their identity. I would say that's true. Do you think that's a bad thing though, Jim? How do you feel about that? Because this is a big part of Atlas's identity at this point. They have articles written on them about like how good their UI is. It's like almost this is like Atlas's thing now, you know?
Of course I don't want the UI to look like boring. Like of course I don't. Like I mean like I think when I say like it really started with Persona 4 is like even like games like Raidou have like a really distinct like UI style to them, which I think Raidou came out before Persona 4, but you get my point. And I obviously I think good UI is a good thing, but my problem with like the UI and Reload is like I'm not even like one of those people who I don't think it looks bad like straight. I'm not one of those people. I think it looks good. But like my problem with it is that aesthetically, what about the Persona 3 main like pause menu is like what does water have to do with Persona 3? Like they're on an island? Water's blue.
Invented a
I thought it was pretty clear. It's symbolism. They just like
it's the sea of everyone's soul. That's bullshit. They weren't thinking about that.
I think that's bullshit. Completely justifiable. And even if they weren't thinking about that, analysis isn't limited to what they actually intended to do. It's what you get from
I know.
it.
I'm being pedantic on that front, but like still like if we're like talking about like aesthetic changes or like what the essence of Persona 3 and how it changed in Reload is that water was never a massive part of Persona 3's identity. And then the main thing that I actually don't like about the Reload menu is the font and like the text and like the typeface. Is I hate why is it like Persona 5? Why is it like the P5 font? Why is it offset and like slanted like P5? What? Why?
I think they did a good job of injecting modern Atlas like I guess UI philosophy alongside what I think it's a good thing that they added meaning where there wasn't in the UI as well, because like Persona 3's UI, I'm not going to say it's bad, but it doesn't have a whole lot going on, which is fine for its own thing. But I appreciate that they actually went ahead and like added something that I think like when their UI goes from actually like it could possibly like hold symbolism for the game as a whole versus when it never did in the first place. I think that's what remakes should do. I think that's what adding meaning where there was none. I think is a really good thing that remakes should be doing. I will never say anything wrong with that. I think it can
be cool. I think it can be cool, but I think at the cost of losing that original aesthetic of the menu. I know you just said there's not much going on there, but I have to disagree. I love the original Persona 3 menu.
Well, hold on. I didn't say I disliked it. I just don't think there's a whole lot. It's very simplistic.
I don't know, but I think it fits the game really well. Like it really adds to like that mid 2000s vibe it has going on, and that's like 90% of the appeal of Persona 3. Is like the vibe, like the mid 2000s ass vibe. That's like most of the appeal of Persona 3 to me. Not like okay, that's like that's hyperbole, but still. I don't know. I just think like there was a lot of good steps in Real. Like I'll take an example of where adding things is really cool. I love that they added text messages, but they're not text messages, they're emails. That was like 10 out of 10 decision. They're so smart for that. I will 3000%, they're so real for doing that.
I agree. I like that too. I feel like we're getting a bit sidetracked here. We should be talking about Persona 4.
I was gonna say, but now that we're on the on the UI discussion, I have to bring this up because I've been researching a lot of Persona 1 and 2 because I've been playing them recently, and also because I want to make a video on it. Something that Persona 1 PSP does that's probably a big downgrade in some ways, certainly in aesthetics, was the original Persona 1. I've been trying to find a screenshot to put up on stream while I talk about it, because I don't know how many people are aware of it, but I cannot find one for the life of me.
Talk about.
But there's really nice menus in that game that are kind of like planets, and you kind of scroll between them or whatever. But I wouldn't say they're as usable as something like even Persona 1 PSP's menus. I wouldn't say they're as efficient as something like the new Modern Atlas menus. If this game were to get a remake, for example, because what Persona 1 PSP did in comparison was it just made them really like gray and boring and whatnot. So aesthetically, they definitely weren't as pleasing, even if they were more usable. Do you think Persona 1 if it were to get a remake or whatever, and they were to able to kind of combine these stylistic decisions that they're so known for now, have like a really nice style for the menu, but also have it be much more usable? You think that's like something we could do?
I would
think
agree.
They should take more cues from the P1, like the original one, more than anything.
Totally.
Like, it's like the flip. It's like the flip side though, because the original had actually more like, I guess for the era especially, more flair and more like going on. That's a part of the game. Kind of like how P5, I think it has a UI that goes alongside really well with the game. And I think that when they retroactively did that with Persona 3, that was also like giving flair and like stylistic identity where there was not much to begin with. And I think that that's a good thing. Yeah, I just saying like it's like I say the flip side because it's a situation where they took away flair where there was some. Much like how they gave flair where there wasn't nowadays in like Reload, right?
So
yeah,
but yeah, I do think that they should.
Okay, but I think the interesting thing about that, you point out that it's opposite in terms of like they remove flare in the PSP version of Persona 1, but add flare, quote unquote, add flare to Reload. But the thing is that both of these changes serve the same purpose at their core, which is homogenizing an older title with its successors and making it more like the other ones instead of making it its own thing completely.
Even if that's true, it's a different case where in this case we're homogenizing with something that tries to go out of its way to be like bold and bombastic, but you're giving it like that twist that fits Persona 3's aesthetic. I just think that that's if you're going to call it homogenizing, that's fine. But I would rather them homogenize with something that's bold rather than homogenize with something that's lacking and like really simplistic, like how Persona 1 PSP did. That's why I'm saying.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, I would rather like 5 million reload menus than like ever having to fucking look at that ugly ass PSP menu ever again. What a disgrace.
So, is your issue with the big stylistic menus that they kind of be going in the direction?
Yep, you cut out screen. What's up, buddy? Oh.
Nice space. Okay. Thanks for my kitty. Thanks for fucking this up. All right. What I was gonna say was, so your issue isn't really the big stylistic direction they've been going in. Is it just like that you don't think Reload's menus were as good as the original Persona 3's menus? Like, is it more just what they did with it rather than they went in the more stylistic, UI direction that they've been going in recently?
It's more that I don't really think that Reload's menu fits Persona 3 all that well. Like, I will never, like, I'm not going to pretend I don't love stylistic menus. I think unless you're like hate everything and you're like a loser and everyone hates you and you suck ass, then maybe you hate stylistic menus. But like, I like them, but the problem is I don't think it fits very well. Like when they show, like I forget if they showed them off or just like I saw them in a tweet, but it was like the beta menu designs for Reload. There was one of them that was like genuinely perfect. It was like a perfectly modernized, yeah, it was a perfectly modernized version of the PS2 menu. But it had more flair, so it was perfect, and I don't know why they didn't go with that one because it fit Persona 3. It modernized what was already there while still keeping the aesthetic intact, but instead they went for the one that looks more like Persona 5. It's like, all right, guys.
I don't like the usage of they went with the one that looks more like Persona 5 because maybe you can string it along like that, but that feels like such a cynical way of looking at it. When I think everything synonymous with P5 is synonymous with showing like the game as much as like showing the how do I say this? Showing a UI that like pops the game, everything like about the game in UI form as much as possible. And sure, you can say that really is a P5 thing, but I think that I don't know. I'm never going to see that as like a bad thing. Even if P5 is what started the trend, if you can call it homogenizing like P5, I still think it's an overall good thing though, because it can easily be like stylized towards the game. They're not all like Persona 5. I mean, I think if we saw a P4 remake UI, I don't think it looked like. I think it looked. I mean, unless they just fucking. I hope they wouldn't do that. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. But I think that I wouldn't have a problem with it if it's super duper stylized and people are gonna be like, oh, it's like P5. I mean, sure, but it allows more of the game to shine in a way that it wasn't able to do or what it didn't do previously.
My point is not that stylized menu equals Persona 5. It's the way in which Reload's menu is stylized where like again the problem is not that it is stylized. The problem is that it has the kind of same like in terms of like the list like the part of the menu that's a list that just like all the menu options. It's like the offset like slanted text. It's like the font. It's like the triangle thing that's like the triangle what icon, not icon, but navigator.
I know what you mean.
I don't know why. Yeah, like that is super Persona 5, and that is like undeniably like that style of font, that style of like typesetting, and like that's like style of cursor. That's the word I was looking for, cursor. That's just, you can't even argue that's like a Persona 3 thing. That's a Persona 5 thing. And again, like if they went with a more stylized menu that was like one of like the concept art ones that we saw, I would be like so down. I would be like, this is so cool. And like again, I don't even hate Reload's menu, but I do think it speaks to a bigger like thing about like how they would treat a Persona 4 remake is that it's just to homogenize it with Persona 5. And I think homogeneity and like if you make all of your games, if not like all of your games, but if you make these 3 games all like ridiculously similar to each other, then it's boring. I think that's a little boring. I like differences and things. I like having a different experience with each of the games.
Do you think
Sure, but
I'm curious to know, do you think Metaphor's menus look like P5 or no? Or do you think they're more
No,
detached?
no,
Okay.
that's its own thing. No, totally its own thing.
Okay. I do agree that like I wasn't gonna say this because I thought it'd deflate my argument a little bit, but I do prefer some of the beta UIs for Persona 3 Reload as well. But I still think what we got, even if it looks that main part where Makoto like he's like slumped back with like the fucking the options like on like alongside him, and that like that thing you mentioned about it like being off kilter like P5. I do think that was a little bit out of place, but I don't think that's not the entire menu that is there, and I do think that what it isn't like a lot of besides that mark that you did say is really similar to P5. I still think it shows a lot of its own thing. It's very flowy, very calm, very tranquil, which I think fits P3. You mentioned earlier how a lot of it is grounded in that aesthetic of the 2000s around that time. And while I think that's true, I think Persona 3 has a lot more to say than just that, or a lot more to have
of
to it
course,
than just
yeah.
that.
Of course
And
it
I don't
does.
think
I'm like, yeah.
I just think that even without that, there's still plenty of them it's plenty of its own thing that they broadcast in a remake, and plenty of its own. I think Reload, if anything, even if it is a bit derivative of P5 at certain points, I do think it adds a lot to Reload's aesthetic as well. Even if I do think it airs on on being fucking too similar to P5 at certain points. I still think I'm stuttering a lot. I apologize.
It's okay.
Can I ask what beta menu in particular and for P3R did you like the most?
I have to find the tweet.
I like the classroom one.
Because I think, I'm going to be honest with you, while some of these are really nice conceptually, I wouldn't be surprised if the reason they went back on a lot of these wasn't even a design choice necessarily, but because they just aren't as efficient. Like, I'm looking at this clock one on the stream right now, and it's really nice to look at, but I feel like this looks a lot less usable. It's not as efficient. Like, going up to down in a menu just makes more sense. This blood puddle one kind of thing is also really nice, but it's taking up like 1/4 of the screen. It's a little... Yeah, it's just I wouldn't be surprised if they went with the one they went with just based on like usability over anything else.
Do you guys have all of them? Because I can't find the tweet. Because I'm trying to find the one that I like the most.
I've got like 3 here. I'll link in the.
Okay, I send them because like.
Why can't I?
It's like I agree. I agree. You make a good point there. You definitely make a good point about how like a lot of these are less usable, and I definitely agree. Like the clock one looks really cool, but like yeah, I'll give you that one. Like yeah, it's not as usable.
The screen you can put up. You can put up the Persona 3 Reload art book that you got with your digital premium of the game.
Wow, I'm so glad I spent money on that.
No, there was a 4th one. There was a 4th one that was perfect.
There is. Yeah, I know which one you mean. I know which one you mean. It has like that art of like Makoto walking like with like the music player in his hand and all that. I know which one you're talking about.
Did somebody link this in chat? I don't know if this is any of them.
Hold on. I'm looking at it. No, it's not that.
I've posted them before, I'm pretty sure.
Got this.
No, it's not that. That looks fan made. I don't think that's real.
Maybe.
That is fan made.
On Google. Somebody said beta Persona 3 Reload UI, but I have no idea. Well, IncompetentC, you find your post, okay?
Whatever. I know which one. We all know what she's talking about, okay?
We all know what I'm talking about.
The one that looks like like really like reminiscent of the original Persona 3. It has like that image of like that art of Makoto like walking. The UI was on its side.
These, but it was so long ago. I don't fucking remember.
The UI was on its side. I remember I talked to you about this, and you said that it didn't look usable because the UI was like sideways.
Maybe I said that. I don't remember. Look, it's been so long. When did these come out? Like fucking months ago?
Yeah, probably closer to a year. But
it was not a year ago. It was not a year ago. There's no way it was a year ago, dude.
Well, if you can.
Hold on, I'm looking up Persona. I'm just looking through my tweets and looking up Persona 3.
Oh my god.
Oh, hold on. We got more linkers.
Okay.
Oh, okay. This one's actually probably has it. This looks like
Yeah,
it has
there it
all
is.
of them.
There it is. There it is.
Hold on,
Yeah, the
where
one on the
is
bottom
it? I'm
right.
looking-
The one on the bottom right.
Yeah, that one.
Oh,
Yeah, that one's
okay.
perfect.
I actually do get exactly
one's
what I said.
fucking
Yeah.
perfect.
So I would say the exact same thing that IncompetentC just said. I said, yeah, I'd say this looks really nice, but the UI being sideways makes this a lot less efficient. I think something with menus that, like.
How is it efficient? You just press left and right.
Well, because
press
like
left and right.
reading sideways is
Readability.
already going to make it like you have to take like an extra second. I think something that's really should be, especially in a game like an RPG where you're in menus a lot, is where you can like immediately recognize what you're going to. Like it's like in a split second, right? And going left to right is just going to confuse your brain that little bit more.
Sure, but then why don't they just make it? Why don't they just make it normal? It's still like good.
I mean, yeah,
Make it
in that
normal.
case, sure, yeah. In that case, up to down, yeah. There's no reason this really has to be sideways.
I'm pretty sure it's set sideways because like just like the visual, like the motion in the picture, it's like Makoto's walking, like left in the screen. So I'm pretty sure that's why they said it like that. Like
Yeah,
if you
I
look
can
at like
see-
the way
yeah.
Makoto's like walking, it just makes like visual sense for it to be like that. But obviously, it's not super readable.
Yeah. I'll give you that, but I still think it's better.
That one's cool. I mean, my favorite's the blood puddle one, even if it's not super useful. But
That one's pretty
Reload's
cool. Yeah.
the screen did make a very good point, and he's gonna say I'm just telling his argument. It is true that Reload's UI is incredibly usable. That is very true. It is a very usable.
Oh yeah,
UI.
it's definitely no debate there. It's usable.
Probably,
like, it's
definitely
good.
more usable than P3's. I mean P3's is very usable too, but I think like especially for the time. But I think Reload's it takes that usability and adds style to it while somehow also making it more usable at the same time. I think it's a good thing. And I'm sure the same will happen in Persona 4. I feel like we're sidetracking this argument to be Atlas remakes as a whole and like making it similar to P5, but we should be talking about P4, I think. But
No, it's important though. It's important because it's like an assumed like Persona 4 remake would be. So we look at what they've done in the past, and pretty much like the only like straight remaster, if you don't count like the DS to 3DS games, which I kind of don't because they're. I mean, I guess sure you can count those too, but like. Really, the only like straight up remaster they have done that really didn't change that much is Nocturne HD, which has its own problems for sure, but
Yeah.
like it does attempt to just like look like Nocturne but new, except for that fucking font. It looks awful. I like the PS2 font better. I hate it. I hate the fucking new font. That's besides the point.
A bit of both versions. I didn't notice a difference in the font.
They're really different and they bother me.
There's actually some really weird font decision like changes I made. Even the new port of Persona 4 Golden, like 2022 onwards, that changed the font from the old version of Persona 4 Golden. And I think the reason they do this a lot, I think, is just accessibility. I'm pretty sure I read that's why Royal got a font change too from the original Persona 5. But yeah, they can look worse sometimes for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think readability in fonts is like the really important. Like this is gonna get people find out about this, they're gonna hate me. But last time I played Royal, I had a mod installed that replaced the font with Comic Sans, and like not even like as in like for like the meme. I think Comic Sans is a remarkably readable font. It is a really, really readable font.
Sure, people get on me a lot because when I've been playing the Persona 2 games,
font.
okay, everyone gets mad that I use a mod to change the font. Every time I tweet a screenshot, they're always like, "Why is the font like that? This looks so much worse," or whatever. I think it's more readable. Fuck off, all right?
I'm looking at your Twitter right now. I'm gonna be the judge of this.
Oh no, I can send you a screenshot in the Discord because I don't know how far back you have to go because I tweet a lot about Raidou.
Yeah, you should do that then.
Something like
Let me know. I use a mod on P5R to make it like the Japanese font because it's like bold and I like the way it looks.
You know, I don't actually know how I feel about Royal's font being that readable. I don't know. I know that was changed like specifically for things like accents didn't show properly in the original font too, but there are a lot of I don't know, they changed the Royal one's just too small. That's the only problem I have. But they need to be like bolded or something.
I think it's a relatively inoffensive change, personally.
I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. I always thought the original font looked a little goofy, so by extension of that, I was like, this one kind of looks nicer, but it need to be bold or something. I can't. It's just hard for me to read. Okay, I'm like
they're both
22.
They're both serif fonts. I think they're both serifs, aren't they?
Maybe.
I have no idea.
It's different.
I wouldn't know.
But it's different. They're like really similar.
Now the conversation has gone to fonts.
Well, what do you want? There were kids here.
Fonts matter. No, that's
they do matter.
Fonts,
they do matter. But I feel like
here's a screenshot of how the
big
font looks in
picture
my
about a P4 remake.
Oh, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
Go. There it is, Sam.
What the fuck? Holy shit.
I was watching him play.
There it is.
I hate it, dude. What is wrong with? That's not that big of a deal. Like, why?
This is more readable to me. The original, there's something about it. It's just too. I don't know what it is about it, but it's not as readable.
It is like the fucking like Persona 2 PSP versions. Like the font in those games is like the most normal Bob font you could ever pick. I don't know. What do you mean?
You see normal Bob?
Yeah, I said normal Bob. I said it.
That's why I just wanted to make sure.
Really looks for reference. I mean, yeah, it's a really normal font. Look, I don't give that much of a shit either, to be honest. I just use that. I don't know.
I do prefer how Serene's like looks with the model.
There we go. Somebody agree. You're the first person to tell me it looks. Thank you.
In all seriousness, there are many worse things you can change than a font. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But the Nocturne one does bother me. But back to my point. My point that the only like really straight remaster that like Atlas has done is Nocturne HD. And you look at all their other remaster attempts, again, not counting like the DS games that got turned into 3DS games, which are like not more like ports in my opinion. Like Devil Survivor Overclock isn't like a remaster. So like you look like Persona 1 PSP completely. The goal is to homogenize it with Persona 3 and 4. You can see it has like the character portraits on the right side of the screen, like Persona 3 and 4. The UI, I mean, it's boring, but it is technically more like Persona 3 and 4. Technically, it's just boring. Persona 2 does the same thing, which I don't dislike the Persona 2 PSP UI, and I also like, as much as I prefer the PSX version of Innocent Sin, I will not pretend that the menus are a little ugly in that game. They're like a little bit ugly, but it's okay. I love it anyway. But still, like, it's just like the underlying theme here is that it's all about like, making older games fit the current status quo, and I have a problem with that just on principle.
I'd agree if it was. I just don't think that Persona 3 Reload's UI is similar enough to P5 for it to be considered an adoption of a new status quo. I just don't think I don't think they're that similar. They're similar, but I just.
How about
this? I don't think that all of it is down to the menu, but I think it's part of it. It's like the menu, it's the combat, it's like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like death by a million needles, not a million needles, but like it's just a bunch of things that culminate into one, like, what in my opinion, something I don't like not like a problem, but it's something I don't like about it.
How about this, okay? Because we do have to get closer to P4R, but we'll kind of use Reload as a base. I think it's undeniable, especially if P4R is going to be revealed and probably come out within the next year, that it's probably reusing a lot from Reload. We can kind of grab onto that to see the direction they'll probably be going vaguely. IncompetentC, why don't you give me things that you don't like about Reload? What do you think are things that they could do better in a P4R, like things that they changed in P3R that either shouldn't have been touched or should have been different, should have been executed differently, that they could kind of look forward to in P4R to do the right way, quote unquote?
Dungeons is like the biggest thing. I think that I don't think random generation suits Persona 4. I don't think they'll go this far, but I think that Sorry, what was the question? I think I understood you, but wait, hold on. You were asking me what I think should be changed about what I think they shouldn't do in P4R.
What do you think were like changes that they made from the original and Reload that were like bad, that they shouldn't have done?
Well, but like I see what you're saying, but I don't think I think P4 is like way more like changeable, if that makes sense, than P3. Like it's already kind of similar to P4. Like it doesn't have like it doesn't have a whole lot of things unique to it like P3 did. I just feel like there isn't a whole lot.
What is it in Reload that they did? Did you like everything they did in Reload? What was like?
I didn't. No.
Okay,
what I was saying is like,
what was it then?
Okay. I didn't like that they got rid of tired.
Base.
What else did I not like? Jesus.
How much? How about the direction? Do you like the cutscene direction more?
No, yeah, cutscenes are a big one. I don't like. I think some of the CG
You
cutscenes
fucking
just don't
better
look as good
not.
as the. I just don't like some of the CG cutscenes look nearly as good as the original anime cutscenes.
You better not. Yeah, they're so much better.
Do you think the problem there was
PS2.
going with CG direction cutscenes at all, or do you think it was just the direction of those cutscenes?
I think it was just a direction. I think absolutely CG cutscenes could have looked as good as the original. I just think it was
I
a
agree.
thing like the biggest thing was like editing and shot composition. It just wasn't as interesting as the original. Like because especially because they copy the choreography pretty closely. It's just the issue is how that choreography is presented. That's my biggest problem with Reload's cutscenes.
I agree. That's a pretty. I agree with that for 100%.
Okay.
The CG can look great.
The thing is though with like P4, like this is just me, a personal opinion of mine. I think a lot of those decisions in P4, like especially cutscenes, I think they're boring in P4. I think like the direction. I mean, I just don't think they're super interesting to the point where I wouldn't mind if they just made them all CG cutscenes. I don't think there's any unique mechanics like tired that are in P4 that like I guess investigations. I wouldn't be mad if they got rid of. I'd rather them retool them and make them more involved, more interesting. But if they got rid of it, I probably wouldn't be complaining. I just think P4, a lot of things that make P4 unique, quote unquote, like it's direct. It doesn't have as many like things like P3 did that make it super like interesting based on direction
So
or like
you're
gameplay.
saying for something like the cutscenes, for example, you think you trust the Reload team, even in their current state, right? To do those cutscenes a lot more justice with the direction of that they'll go. Compared to something like P3.
I think they'd replicate it better if that's what they try to do. But beyond that, even if they didn't, if they had the exact same quality they did in P3, like you're saying, or P3R, sorry, that you're saying, I don't think there's a whole lot to fuck up in P4 cutscenes. They're just not super interesting.
See, but this is kind of my point as to why I don't think it should get a remake, because like why? If there's nothing like interesting to iterate on and there's not much you could really do to change it, to modernize it and like, change it, and it's just going to be like Persona 4 but like a little newer, then why are we even making it? Just play the original or play Golden. It's fine. Like I don't see the point.
I think it's justifiable if they're just like like as a new experience, just purely based on that basis. I'm not even saying better, but I think if they're not going to do this, they're going to change other things probably as well. But if they only change the dungeon crawling, it'd still be justified in my eyes. Like it's still a different experience.
Okay.
That I will come off of my like high horse and say that if Persona 4 had like actual dungeons, it would be like 3,000 times better. Like I'll meet you halfway there, where I do think out of anything they could change in a Persona 4 remake, that would be the most significant thing that would actually justify its existence. But I still don't like, otherwise I just don't think it needs to happen.
I think we can probably, this is probably something I assume all three of us will agree with. As much as I also disagree that Reload just lifted things from Persona 5, I think it did have enough of its own kind of personality. I think we can all probably agree though that Persona 4 Remake, if it does retool the dungeons, it shouldn't just be like a one-to-one with palaces. Like they should obviously do something a little different, right?
I don't see how they could even make it a one-to-one with palaces. I don't really see how that even happened.
I just think they need more interesting layouts that aren't randomly generated. That's like
I just think if they just made like the layouts interesting, like I don't know, even if like even if it was just like hallway simulator like SMC4, I'd even prefer that.
Yeah, I honestly agree. I just don't. The random generation just feels like it made sense in something like Tartarus, like from like a game, like as just a game, because Tartarus is it's like stated to be ever shifting. It's just how Tartarus is. It always changes.
And it's so cool.
I like Tartarus. I think we'll agree on this. I do like Tartarus.
I do like Tartarus.
I've always liked Tartarus, even in the original game.
I fuck with you for that. Thank you.
All right, June, I'm gonna ask you the opposite question I asked IncompetentC. I asked him what he didn't like about Reload. What did you like about Reload that they changed?
So I like the Link episodes. I think they're cool. I don't mind them. I think a lot of people have problems with the way some of them are written, like Akihiko's, for example. And like I would agree on some of those points, but in general, just like as an idea, I think Link episodes, thumbs fucking up. This next one, this is gonna be unexpected. I like the new voice cast. I think like I like not even like I'm saying I like that they're like I like the new voice cast. I like that there is a new voice cast. At first I was really like against the idea of changing the voice cast, aside from Junpei, because I don't really think Vic Mignogna should be getting.
You know, Vic. I don't think he should be getting work. Yeah.
I don't think Vic should be getting work. You know, but like at first I was really anti the idea, but I do like that if there's anything that's like a different take on the original, I do like that they give these like relatively like newer voice actors to like, you know, get a chance to like have a really big project like that. And
I'm
like
sure that was the reason they said too, like to give him like to put prop up new talent.
Honestly, I thought that was phenomenal. And like, honestly, I love Alex Lee, and I would never have learned about Alex Lee if not for Reload. And I think that's something really beautiful, and I think that's something really great. And I'm really happy that they did that. I think it's a very like happy, not like accident, but no, definitely not an accident. But it's just something that I didn't expect going in that I ended up really loving because because again, I think like even like performance like there's performances in Fez that I prefer. Like I prefer you know, Liam O'Brien as Akihiko, like
I was gonna say
greatly.
the same thing. I think it's the only one I really prefer in FES though.
But Alejandro Saab, right?
Yeah, that's some Kagi. Yeah,
Alejandro Saab, he still does a phenomenal job. I still even though I prefer the Fez performance, I still like really appreciate the Reload performance and like characters like Junpei. Like as much as like here's my thing about Vic Mignogna, I don't think he should get work, and I think he's a bad person. But it's really unfortunate that he was a really good actor. And even as attached as I am to the original Junpei voice, Jenna Robinson, he fucking knocked it out of the park. I think he's so good as Junpei, and it like really, I love it. Like I love it. And again, like I could go on and on about like you know this point, but I do love the new voice cast. Um, what else did I like about Reload? I like the new songs. I like that they added a song at night, and I like that there's like a. I don't dislike the it's going down. No, I think that song is pretty good. That's pretty cool. I don't like the remix songs, but this is not about what I don't like. Um, what else is there
I was gonna
about
say
Reload?
with the voice cast, you gave pretty much the exact same take. I think both. Well, at least I have. Incompetency is pretty close though. I think we talked about how I played Reload in Japanese like a weeb I am, okay? But
Oh my god.
but I have heard the English voices. While I'm a little 50-50 on some of them, and I'm like, some of them I feel like I like the take they were going for in the original more. I do agree that, especially I'm pretty sure it was Midori. I wonder what happened to them. Who said that they specifically casted new roles to kind of prop up new talent, and I think that was a good decision. Like all the voice actors from P3, they're established, they're big, they don't need Persona 3 Reload. You know, Persona 3 was part of what made them big back in the day. They don't need this one. It's better to build new talent, and now people know almost all the names, especially people like Alex Lee. And that's due in part because of Reload, right? So yeah, that was a good thing.
Yeah, 300%. And honestly, I hope when Persona 4 fucking Rewind comes out, I honestly hope they do the same thing. 300%. I hope they do the same thing. They really should, in my opinion, actually.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those voice actors are all big now, like Johnny Young Bosch or whatever. He doesn't need Persona 4. Rewind.
Johnny Young Bosch is
okay, but if he's not voicing Adachi, I will kill myself. To be clear, I will kill myself.
Okay, maybe if there's anyone they should keep, maybe it's him. But
you know the real tragedy with P4R that no one's talking about, okay, is that them trying to recreate that Adachi portrait, they're fucked. There's nothing they can do.
There's nothing they can do. Yeah,
there's no one talking about this, and a million other people have. It is very true, though. I think we'll be mad no matter what they fucking do.
They're just fucked.
The first mod you're gonna see on Game Banana, by the way, is just the one that replaces the sprites. I guarantee you. Unless they add new ones, they might add new sprites that just fuck over when I say new sprites, I don't mean like redoing them, but I mean like actually like adding like new expressions for their faces and stuff. And I think if they do that, it might fuck anyone who tries modding it.
With the music,
may be true.
And obviously we all know Persona music is a very important part of it. I agree. I think Reload adding a new night theme and stuff was good. I think the best songs of Reload are most certainly the new tracks because the remixed ones are pretty iffy. However, Persona 4 I think is going to be one where it's much more difficult to fit new songs in. Like Persona 3 had it easy. There wasn't even a night theme in that game, so making one made sense. You know, a new battle theme or whatever. But Persona 4 already had a game that added a lot of new songs, and that was Golden. Golden added a new night theme, the Star Sky song, whatever the fuck it's called. All that type of stuff. I don't even know where they can really add as many new tracks. I don't know.
I don't think they will. At most, I honestly don't think they will. And again, I'm not even opposed to remixes. My problem with the remixes in Persona 3 Reload is the new singer, which this is no hate to her. I don't even think she's a bad singer at all, because I think she sounds really good on the new songs. She sounds really good on those. There's just so many strange choices that I don't know if she made these choices or if they like directed her to make these choices, but like a lot of the vowels, biggest thing that like speaks out to me is in Mass Destruction. She goes baby baby instead of baby baby. Yeah. That what were they thinking? I can't imagine any trained singer would choose to do that. How? Like that's can't I don't even want to like say that's her fault because I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think that was something that
to be clear, I think.
God.
I would say something. I don't think you'd have a problem with it if original like if we knew Mass Destruction with that like pronunciation first. I feel like it's only something that people are upset about because we're so used to the original.
I mean, people are upset about it by comparison because they've seen the other side. I mean, like if you were to put in front of me both, like even if let's say Persona 3 never existed, Reload was the first version of it or whatever, and you were to give me an alternate version of the song that had the baby baby, okay, right, the more enunciated one in the original, I would have been like, yeah, this one's better. You know, obviously, because we have the original to compare, sure. I mean, if we have nothing to compare it to, maybe people would have been a little less upset, but it definitely is worse. That was something I pointed out back when Reload had all those snippets coming out and shit, and that was the first thing I noticed, and I'm like, I don't like the way she says that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. I just thought of a really great analogy to make my whole point, right? Hear me out on this one, guys. So you guys know Friendly's. Everyone knows Friendly's. The American restaurant chain.
No way, I don't know that. I've never heard of that actually.
I'm Canadian, so I wouldn't know. He's American. I don't know his uses.
Yeah, well, people on the East Coast just make up things. That happens all the time. It's whatever.
I don't know. Do you think of like a ice cream chain or whatever, or like someone like okay, say you go to your favorite like ice cream like cake shop and they made one of your favorite cakes of all time, and then they release a new version of that cake that's slightly different but improved a lot of things about the first cake. I mean, there's some things about the new cake, like there's less fog on the new one. But it's still a really good cake. But you know, that may be one of your favorite cakes, but the same store has so many fucking cakes. Like 50 fucking cakes, 50 different cakes in their possession. But a lot of your favorite cakes, like their oldest, most original cakes that were the foundation of the bakery, they just don't make those cakes anymore, and they refuse to preserve those cakes. And instead of preserving those cakes, they make another version of that other cake.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I think Atlas is going back to their old games, and they're kind of.
Well, Raidou, yeah.
It looks like it looks like with Raidou's, and that's probably my guess would be that's going to be the start of a trend. I think they're going to probably go, and I think we heard some rumors about DDS anyways around the same time. It seems like they're probably going in that direction. Persona 4 Remake was probably like next up for two reasons. One, it's Persona 4. It's probably the biggest game they could possibly even remotely justify a remake for. And two, it's also very easy to make for the same reason Persona 4 is easy to make, because it's going to probably reuse a lot from Reload. Those are probably the big reasons why P4R is like the next one.
It's guaranteed to sell. Guaranteed to sell. Like, there's no question about that. It will sell. It'll probably do better than Reload.
Ooh, you think so? I don't know if I agree with that. I think Reload had a big advantage.
Sold insanely well.
Reload had a big advantage from being the only like modern version of Persona 3 on like modern storefronts besides fucking portable, and we all know how that went. So,
well, no, but I think there's a point because Persona 3 Reload became the fastest selling Atlas game immediately. Yeah. Like it's not the most selling, but it's the fastest.
Metaphor did beat it.
Oh. Well,
but at the time, you're right. Reload at the time.
At the time, yes, it was the fastest selling. Yeah.
At the time, it was the fastest selling, and like Persona 4 was like that's like the OG cash cow. We all know that. Like that's the OG like. You know, so I do agree. I think Persona 4 Remake would sell better.
Ooh. I don't know. I actually don't think it will, but I still think it'll sell incredibly well, obviously.
The only problem is that it's yellow, and I think blue is a more popular color than yellow.
You think that's a big
blue is a
big
very
deciding
nice
factor?
color.
Blue is one of the most popular colors for sure.
I'll say this: I did read something a while back that said red is, and I don't know how true this is because I don't remember where I read it, but red is like the most like the easiest color to get someone to buy, something like that or whatever. And then I looked, I'm like, huh, Persona 5 is the biggest mainline Persona game. SMT5 Vengeance is the most popular SMT game now, and that had a red aesthetic going. I'm starting to, but I don't actually think that played that much into those things. I mean, obviously there's much more about those games that made them sell as well as they did, especially Atlas just getting bigger over time.
I'm so glad SMT5 did well. It makes me so happy.
And look, I agree that there's things about a remake. It sucks that I think me and IncompetentC both actually prefer Reload to FES. So you're talking to two heathens, okay? But
what?
I gave both of them a 10 out of 10. It's very little difference, okay? In my eyes.
We're gonna the June Nation's gonna hang you at the stake.
So. But the thing with Reload is I do wish I could say everything was better, and that's definitely not true. There's definitely a lot more, and even with something like Persona 4 Golden, I think I prefer Golden to vanilla P4, but it's very tight. It's a very tight margin. It's the enhanced edition that Atlas has done that I say is like the least essential. Like really, there's not too much you're missing if you play vanilla P4 over Golden. And there's a lot of things that were downgraded, like the fog. Yeah, the fog was a big shame that got downgraded so heavily. So Remake has the potential to kind of solve some of these, but
I want to make something clear is that I do not hate Reload. You guys weren't accusing me of that, but I do want to make that clear that I'm not like a Reload hater. Like I did enjoy Reload as a game, but I do think it has a lot of shortcomings, and like as a remake it has problems. And then just like I'm gonna also out myself. I don't really like Persona 4 that much.
You're with like-minded individuals.
Okay, well, let's be clear a little. Me and IncompetentC shouldn't a lot, but I think we both like it, but it's our least favorite of the modern Persona games for sure.
It's my least favorite Persona game, fucking period, dude.
Okay.
Like,
Persona 1 Persona 1 exists, dude!
Persona 1 what do you mean you don't get it? It's awesome. It's so good. The music. The fucking PSX OST is amazing.
That's true. The music is really good in PSX. True.
You just fucking hate dungeon crawlers.
Maybe I'd give it a fucking 9.
Okay, look.
You fucking hate dungeon crawlers. That's what it is. It's that you have something against dungeon crawlers.
I like SMT too. I just think it's a bad one.
No, you don't finish it though.
Like,
because I don't finish games, not because they're bad. I still finish video games.
You don't. You just have something against dungeon crawlers. That's what it is. You're something against dungeon crawlers.
IncompetentC barely played P1, to be fair. Okay, he barely knows. Okay.
How can you call it bad? How can you call it bad if you didn't finish it?
I can tell from what I played. It's not my thing.
That's not true. You gotta give it a chance, bro.
I have played both routes of the game. And I do agree. I think the music and aesthetics are incredible. I think if people haven't heard the P1 soundtrack specific, I like the PSP1, but the PSX1 is definitely stronger, and it definitely fits the game a lot better. If nobody's heard that PSX soundtrack for P1, I think you should at least go listen to it if you're not going to play the game. I think it is actually a really good soundtrack, and there's a lot of things that the modern Persona games don't do, which is really interesting. However, Persona 1 is by far my least favorite Persona game.
By far.
I just the story I think is all right conceptually, but I don't know if I care for a lot of things it does. I don't know if it executes a lot of its concepts on the level I'd want it to. And then also, I mean, this is an obvious one because most people will say this, but I don't think the gameplay is very strong. I think the dungeons are not that great. Even Persona 2s I thought were better, even if they're not first person. And the combat I think is really not strong at all.
Okay.
Better than Innocent Sins though, but they should be.
Holy fuck, I love auto battles.
Innocent Sins kind of auto battles too.
As much as I love Persona 1, I will agree. I do think the combat, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's just like, I feel like they didn't finish. Like, I feel like they came with an idea and they didn't really finish, like, fleshing it out, unfortunately. But I don't think it's bad or even, like, that boring. And I think a lot of the dungeons are pretty cool. I don't think they're as good as Soul Hackers because, like, that's, like, the best, like, first-person dungeons and, like, the whole, like, franchise. Like, those are really good. Like, that's like the peak. What?
Not Strange Journey? That's like a comment.
What the fuck? No.
I think I often see people say Strange Journey has the best dungeons in the.
Yeah, people suck Strange Journey's dick for fucking 5 million hours. It's a 7. It's a 7 out of 10. It's all right.
I've never finished Strange Journey. I played a bit of it. I liked what I played. I did like what I played. Though.
I don't like Demon Co-op. That's my biggest thing with Strange Journey. I think
like
Demon
boring.
Co-op. It sucks.
I mean, but I'm a press turn dick rider for life. I love press turn.
I don't even think it needed press turn. I just think it just did it. I just think Demon Co-op sucks ass.
Sorry, people in chat are asking, can you play the PSX version in English? I think a Sebek is translated thing. I played the PSP version with the PSX music mod, and I think that's probably going to be most people's best bet.
I'm an expert on this topic, actually, because I did once write a 27-page long video script about what the best version of Persona 1 is to play, and I never made it because I didn't want to make a YouTube video because of my voice. That's stupid, but I am
narrate it for you.
This is gonna be your gateway right here.
No, I have, but I'm an expert on this thing. So obviously, Revelations Persona is not an ideal product. It's got some problems.
Putting it lightly, yeah.
But there are a lot of like funny memeable moments. I like
Mark
when
Gant's crazy. That's
I like when Nanjo tells Maki to kill herself. That's the best part. I cannot believe I could not believe my eyes when I was playing that. But okay, other than like the really memeable like localization stuff, it's not that bad of a translation. It's not that bad, guys. It's fine
compared to PSPs. I don't know.
Okay, of course PSP is better. It's not that bad. But okay, in terms of like alternatives. There was a mod by it's on Twitter. His name is Quantum Dog. I think that's his ad. It's just Quantum Dog. He made a mod. I don't even know if he's still on the team, but he was on the team at some point. But there's a mod on Game Banana called Persona Revelations Persona delocalized, which just edits the game script to be a lot more like faithful. So it's like the closest you can get to like an English patch right now. There is an English patch of Megami Ibanroku Persona being worked on, translator Tom. He has since gone completely dark about it and deleted all screenshots of it that he posted on Twitter, but it's happening.
Oh, nice.
The Quantum Dog one was the one I was referencing to. Yeah, that one, but it's not done for Snow Queen, I don't think. Like, I'm pretty sure it's only Sebek.
It's only done for Sebek. It's only done for Sebek, but it's an option, and I think it's a good option.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, yeah. Pretty much. I played the PSP version with the PSX music mod. That's not a bad option either. But yeah, I mean, if you want the original,
I agree. I agree that's not a bad option either. I've done that before. It's not that bad of an option. Of course you miss out on the menus and stuff, but it's fine.
Yeah. But like Persona 1, I mean, it's funny. Dell watched me play, and she was a big fan of Persona 1. Every time I get into a dungeon, I'd be like, damn, banger after banger, and then I have to play the dungeon. I'd be really upset. That's a bit of exaggeration. Most of them weren't too bad. The fact that made me do Kama Palace twice in a row did make me want to kill myself, but...
I don't even think Kama Palace is that bad. I don't think Kama Palace is that bad.
You know what? It's not as bad as Thanatos Tower. That one pissed me off.
Okay,
hold on. You were defending If Dungeons, so I don't know if I trust your take on the Persona 1
I am defending If Dungeons because they're not bad. There's one bad dungeon, dude. You gotta
all bad. I don't think I like a single one of them.
And it's literally just Domain of Sloth. I don't think fucking Domain of Pride and shit are like winning fucking awards, but they're not that bad.
They are bad.
Fine. They are fucking fine, dude. I forgot the name of the one.
There's one with I think it's jealousy or envy. I fucking hate envy too. Envy pisses me off.
That's fine. It's literally fine.
Envy really fucking I don't get it. I don't get it.
I know. Okay, I know this isn't necessarily a good argument, but there is so much worse. It's not that bad.
I mean, cancer's pretty rough, but imagine you had cancer twice.
About Persona 1...
But, like, would you rather do Kama Palace or Chinatown and Devil Summoner? And if you don't know, that Chinatown and Devil Summoner has invisible teleports, and like when they're by invisible, I mean there's like they teleport you, but there's no animation for it.
Haste, okay, haste. Look, I'll give people dungeons one thing. When I say they're at their worst, my least favorite was probably Thanatos Tower. But like they're all short enough that like I wasn't like, oh my god, this is agony. Like I could obviously finish them because I did.
Truth Nuke.
They weren't
not
like
that bad.
Yeah, they weren't like the longest things. But I don't know if that makes them good because they were like they would mercy kill me easy. It's like, oh okay, we're already done. Okay, cool. I mean, I don't know if there's anything about them that I enjoyed besides the music was very strong in a lot of them. That especially Kama Palace.
Deva Yuga? You don't like Deva
Yuga? That was my favorite one, I think. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that was my favorite one.
Good.
Yeah. Deva Yuga was really, and the music's really good on that one. Yeah.
It is. It's true.
You know what though? That puzzle at the end. We're talking about like Persona 1. Nobody in chat's gonna know because not that many people play P1, but fuck it. there's a puzzle at the end with like it's like the light puzzle. You have to match the lights at the top or whatever. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun, but it's so short. I think Snow Queen had a dungeon that had a longer version of that though, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah, I don't think Persona 1 dungeons are like the world's best dungeons, but I think they're fun. I have a good time with them.
They're
personally.
all right.
Personally, I think Soul Hackers has the best like first person dungeon crawling. I think Soul Hackers is like the peak.
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. I'd have to get there. But look, hey, anyways, about that Persona 4 remake.
Yeah, back to you know.
Back to what we're talking about.
Although I can't wait, because if the P1 and 2 ones do come down the pipeline, like the streets are saying, okay, not to sell anyone out, but like the rumors have been saying, okay, those would be very fun to talk about.
Soon somebody
but,
pick up the phone.
But yeah.
Pick up the phone, baby.
Pick up the fucking phone.
P4 remake will be fun. It will at least to talk about. Hopefully the game's fun as well.
It will probably be fun, and the worst part about all this is that I'm defending that it shouldn't exist. I will still buy it. I'm part of the problem.
I also am guaranteed. Fucking, I will absolutely buy it.
And if I don't buy it, I'll e-beg for it.
To be clear, I do think there are better. By the way, like back on the argument, I do think there's probably better games they could re-release or remake or 100%. Port. 100%, but I still don't think the concept of remaking Persona 4 is a bad idea. I think there's a lot that can be gained from it. Like objectively, it will bring more people to Persona 4, which is already a good reason in it.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I just don't think it's just like why like.
Yeah, it's a case of like the only reason I would justify it is like because it will be so easy to make based on reloads, like building itself so hard on reload. That's all I can really think of. Because I mean, in terms of like every pre-PS3, PS4 game they could remake, this is like probably one of the dumbest ones to remake.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really think like, please remake not remake. I prefer remaster. Please remaster Digital Devil Saga. Please.
They probably will. I feel like
there's no way.
It's just it's like it's on the cusp of happening. Probably determined on the success of Raidou, if I had to guess.
I'll pop up. I hope Raidou, sincerely, I hope Raidou remaster does so good. I'm like, are we still planning to talk about Raidou at some point?
Yes, I think we should.
I was thinking we'd probably near the end. We'd probably end on that. It'll bring us all together because I'm sure we're all very hyped for that one. So
I think we're all like, yeah. I think. There's the only person on Twitter I've seen that like is just like being a doomer about it is Persona 5 fan Els, and
I'm pretty sure it's a bait account.
They're bait. Yeah,
I don't think that's
they are.
I know it's rage bait. I feel like this is the most unified I feel like the community has been. Like I feel like everyone's pretty fucking happy. It looks really. I'm gonna say this right now. I do think like, I don't think it's like that big of a deal. I do think that like aesthetically it does lose a little from the PS2 version, but I still like the way it looks though.
Yeah, I think
so like I agree.
Objectively, or I shouldn't say objectively, but like in terms of like the way the shadows look and the lighting and everything, it looks really nice. There is a little bit. I saw a screenshot on Twitter before. The original game looks a lot more like grayscale almost in some areas. Yeah, it's a lot, a lot more crushed, like a lot more ambient in that sense. And it looks like the remake is gonna get rid of some of the, or remaster, whatever the fuck, is gonna get rid of some of those things. It's more of a remake. But
they call it a remaster, but I feel like it's more of a remake. Yeah, like
it's totally a remake.
More like ground up. Yeah.
Okay, here are the only problems I have with it based on the reveal. I think they should have kept Double Summoner in the name, but that's like the most nitpick thing. Like okay, like who cares? Like you know.
I do actually know the reason for that. If you want, they said at the developer thing. I think.
Yeah, he said it. Yeah,
it was something because a lot of people just call it Raidou anyways, and they're like, "Fuck it."
Yeah, and I do agree that Devil Summoner Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army. It's a little harder to market. It's a little bit harder, which is like kind of fair. And then other things. The only other thing like I can really think of is that I think the menus. I think there's less cherry blossoms, and that's a problem. But it's not that big of a deal.
Have we seen how the actual UI looks?
Put a ride in the street.
There's a couple times you can see it. There's a couple times in the trailer.
I don't think it's as like
it's not enough for me.
As some others, right?
It's not enough for. I feel like it loses flair from the original, which is like weird because I don't know why they would make it lose flair. But also, really, not enough of the menus have been shown off for me to like make a broad judgment about it. So like, that's why I'm gonna hold my tongue on that one. Like, I'm not gonna tweet about that. But that's like really it. I think the rest of it is like such a promising project that makes me so sincerely happy. I really hope they translate Double Summoner 1995 because I mean, it's kind of fun being one of the only people who's actually played it because it's still stuck in Japanese, but I do want people to play it.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't, or maybe just because I don't see enough appeal in those games yet. But especially if a Persona 1 remake comes down and we have like the first-person dungeons and stuff, like games like SMTF, which IncompetentC is such a big fan of, and whatnot. Like those.
I think that game should be
types of
remade.
games
I think that game should get a
remakes.
retelling, reimagining.
Yeah,
I agree. I think
fit.
okay. As much as I'll defend if I don't think it's like a great game. I think it's like a 6 at most.
That's insane.
But
You think it's above average? Fuck, that's crazy.
yeah, I think it's all right. I think it's all right. A 6 is like it's all right. It's all right.
I'm
Also,
sure it's my lowest game on backlogged.
I also will say it's a bit of Stockholm syndrome because when I was playing SMTF, I'm like, this is miserable, but I look back on it fondly for some reason.
Oh my god! Oh my god! No.
I do, but the difference is that I don't look back on Majin Tensei fondly. That makes me, I get angry, but like SMTF, I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Oh my god! Fucking 15 million Hitlers is worse than 14 million. Who would have thought?
People do this. People say this, and like I get it. And look, everybody prioritizes different things in games, so it's okay. But people told me this like so much. Like whenever people point to things in Persona 1, for example, because obviously I didn't like the game, it's always like the music and aesthetics, and I agree. Like they do that really well, but like there is more to the game than just that. If this was like a I don't know, like a video experience, all right, or something like that, or it's like a walking sim, and I was like, oh shit, then I'd probably be mostly favorable. Well, in a way, but there's combat and stuff in there, and dungeons and whatnot, and you know, a story.
I like the dungeons. I like the combat. I think Persona 1 is a joy. But on SMTF, if they remade, I think there's a lot of interesting things about SMTF. Like I could ramble on about this for 3 bajillion years, and this could be the SMTF podcast. But one of my favorite things about SMTF,
you just recreated a nightmare of mine. I just want you to know that. Like I you have no idea what you just said.
One of the most interesting things about SMTF to me that they don't really like do much with is that I love how Hazuma as like a character is like a bit of a parallel to Nakajima from the original Megami Tensei.
Yeah.
I think there was like a lot of interesting shit they could have done with that, and if they did remake it, which they probably won't, and they probably wouldn't do this, but if they did, it'd be cool if they like dug into that a little more and like really fleshed out all the characters. I think it could be really cool.
They should remake SMT1 as well. I want them to do that. I think it'd be cool.
They should. I think they should do it. I wouldn't be mad about a remake, actually, honestly. But I do think they should I think they should like port like the PS1 version to Steam or something. Like I think an enhanced re-release of like the PS1 version would be really cool. I would really love that. Yeah, I think, personally.
This isn't the way they're gonna look at it, and maybe it isn't even really the way they should look at it. But I think like from like what we gain from preservation and shit like that, like getting these games that were never even localized in English officially, that would be like a really big deal. That would probably be like the #1 thing you'd want to do from that perspective. But that's not the way they're going to look at it. I don't know if it's the way they really should, but that would be a big thing.
I think it is. Because my reason for saying, like, again, like to keep this, you know, in line with the topic, my reason for saying that it feels like a stab in the back, or it just feels disappointing as like a fan of like a large amount of Atlus's games, to see them, you know, like kind of ignore their older titles, is that like SMT1, in my opinion, like I'm a really big fan of that game. I love SMT1 a lot. To me, like in terms of like, you know, what game in my head, what game represents Atlus, like in its purest form, what is Atlus? It's Shin Megami Tensei, in my opinion. That is like the origin point. That's where like their identity, like the identity of Megami Tensei, in my opinion, really comes from. You can argue Megami Tensei 2, but like Shin Megami Tensei is where I feel like it really, like all of it comes to life. And I think it's such an important game to their history. It's so important to the rest of the franchise. Even Persona 5, I think it's important too. So I think the fact that it's not available in English and it's only been localized one time on fucking iOS is kind of insane. And I think they should really like do a bit of a service, not even just like to the fans, just to the game and just preserve it. And I feel that way for a lot of games. Like again, like I'm not gonna. I have hope that I honestly like. I have more hope than ever that they might fucking actually do this with the announcement of Raidou. But like a game like Devil Summoner, I know I'm like the biggest Devil Summoner shooter ever, but like that game, there is no way to play in English like at all. Like you have to play it in Japanese with the script at your side, and like that is one of those things where it's like I can't in my right mind ever tell someone to do that. Like you just can't. That's no one wants to do that except for me. And I really think like that. I think Devil Summoner is also like kind of important. Like it's not as important as SMT1 in terms of like Atlas history, but like that's why where I feel like negotiation like really became like more of like a complex mechanic. That's when they added like demon personalities. That's where like the more like mundane, not like mundane, but more like contemporary aspects of these games really like started coming to life. Where like there's demons and shit. There's like supernatural aspects, but it is like a lot more chill and laid back, and I really think like that deserves to be preserved, and I think English speaking fans deserve to play it. I would to play it in a language I can understand, so I can actually summon those devils, which you can't really do if you can't speak Japanese. I don't know. So that's like my thing.
I agree with everything you're saying, and it's why I said that's an important thing. But like, there's a few ways of looking at it, and like from the perspective of getting people interested in it, like it's easy for us to talk about kind of localizing these games that have never been localized in the first Shin Megami Tensei or whatever, and bringing them to a new audience. But we're also already the people who would definitely play it and already know about it. I think there's like something about trying to get people enthusiastic about it, and in modern day, like let's say for example they were to just port the game straight up and translate to English. I don't know how many people would actually be that interested in it. Like, you can port it and make it available to modern audiences, but there's another gap you're trying to jump over that's making people interested in it.
That's fair. For sure, that's fair. However, I do think there's at least a little bit of an audience. Like, I don't think they have to do it one at a time. Like, if they did like an Atlas Classics collection, that would be fine. I would even accept that. Like, I don't think there's enough like I don't think the interest is low enough for that not to be a viable option. Like SMT5 sold really well for SMT standards. Like that's sold pretty well. I feel like it's clear there's interest. I feel like SMT5 brought in a lot of new people who like weren't willing to try mainline or anything outside of Persona before that. I feel like the original SMT5.
I mean, yeah, that's Screen's first main line. I think SMT5 entrance. It is.
I think it brought a lot of people into the game, and on a smaller scale, I think Nocturne HD might have done the same. And I think there's interest. I think that like I don't even think they need to do ports. Like if they just made their own like English patch and then like released it in like an emulator collection and called it like just Atlas Classics collection, that's fine. I wouldn't even be mad about that. I would actually be pretty happy.
I agree. It's just like I think it's a matter of like timing and how you do it. Like SMT5 Vengeance is the best-selling mainline SMT game, but I don't only think that's just because of like how SMT5 plays. Atlas has also been growing. Anything they sell by extension will grow. We know this because Metaphor is a new IP that is now their fastest-selling game, just based on the team that made it and the company behind it. So by extension of Atlas continuing to grow, there will always be more and more fans. And let's be honest, Atlas isn't going to start declining in popularity anytime soon. It might be a case of like they're looking at like, well, if we're gonna bring this first Shin Megami Tensei over, should it be a port? Should it be a remake? Because if we do the wrong thing first, that might kill interest for if we were to do a port first and then a remake, that might kill interest for the remake. Maybe we want to do the remake for it. Like there's a lot of different ways of looking at it, and also the timing of it. Well, if we do it after Persona 4 remake and after Persona 6 and after this, there might be even more interest for it, and then we can start building on Shin Megami Tensei in even greater way. Like there's like a million different ways of looking at it. So that's the only reason I say that, like, I don't know if going just, which ones aren't localized first, we should do these ones first, especially also just considering they're a Japanese company. It's probably not the first thing at their mind anyways. But, like, that's why it's not, I don't know if that's the way they should actually be looking at doing remakes or remasters.
That's a kind of a good point, but on like your point where it's like, oh, if we do the port first, it'll kill interest for the remaster. I mean, that's what they did with Persona 3, and
Yeah, I
Preload
mean,
did
look,
just fine.
not that it's gonna kill it, but it'll just probably hurt. It could potentially hurt the remake more so than if they were to do the remake first. But obviously, it wouldn't kill all interest, especially if the remake is very much so different. Like,
Transformative.
I'm honestly of the mind, if they had ported FES and then did Reload, I really don't think Reload would have hurt it that much, just because of how expansive and different Reload is. Like, they're just so different at this point that
I would agree.
I don't think it would have hurt it that much. But yeah, I'm just saying these are the things I would be looking at.
I would say, like, if they were to do an SMT1 remake, I think if they like did, I don't even think they need to do like a standalone port of SMT1. Again, like I keep saying Atlas Classics Collection, but like totally that'd be super lit. Like when I envision an SMT1 remake, I like envision like a true reimagining. Like Tokyo is fully explorable and like all like I don't like I can't like really like put all of it into words, but I'm saying like shit from the concept art is now a mechanic. That's what I'm thinking when I think SMT1 remake.
More like, so when you say SMT1 remake, more like reimagining, like FF7, I guess would be the closest example, like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like change the
like
story. I wouldn't say like change the story, but like combat and like exploration, as long as the original is kept intact and like it's kept available. If SMT1 remake like kind of played like SMT5, but in like a more like urban environment before like the bombs drop and stuff like that. I mean, it can be you know what I mean. I'm not saying it would play like exactly like SMT5, but if it played more like 3 through 5 in terms of like gameplay style, I wouldn't be mad about it as long as like I think if it brought like a substantial change and brought a really new flavor, if it, to borrow your words, Incompetency, if it gave a new team a chance to iterate on an old idea, that'd be really cool.
I agree. I'm all for remakes of older Mega 10 games. I think that's absolutely like what they should be doing. I think there's like Atlas has the size now to break out of this niche they have for like even the most like esoteric of Megami Tensei. I think that absolutely has an audience now just because of how big Atlas has grown with the success of Persona and its contemporaries. I agree. There's plenty of room for them to do things like that. Yeah.
Like, look at me. I mean, I've played 33 like different Mega 10 games. So that's counting like different versions of some of the same games. But like, point is, I've been like a pretty avid Atlas fan for like 5 years at the very least. And my first Atlas game was Persona 5. Like,
hey, mine too.
It got me into it. It totally got me into their whole thing. And like again, not everyone is like me and like really delved into like their whole like not like their whole catalog. I'm not saying I played every game, but I've played, I don't know, I fucking played Majin Tensei, so you know what I mean? Like, don't play Majin Tensei, that game sucks. Like, yeah, I agree. There's definitely a chance, like, a lot of these more games that are more esoteric, a word that you love.
Yeah, original too.
Twice.
Yeah.
Break.
I said it twice, but it's enough.
I'm planning on my right now. I'm currently in the works of the Megami Tensei something initiative. I forgot what I called it, but I'm kind of going through. I'm trying to go through every Atlas game truly. However, these games are very fucking long, so it's very difficult to do, and that's why I'm still on Eternal Punishment. But
I commend your crusade, and I wish you luck.
The plan is to become the strongest Persona 5 fan, so then I can I can say Persona 5 is my favorite Atlas game, and they can all be like, oh my god, you probably only played Persona 5, Persona 4, and then I can pull out the whole list and be like, yeah, I've played more Mega 10 games than you now. What's fucking up, huh? Yeah, that's the plan.
I actually fucking respect the shit out of that. That's awesome.
Spite-based gaming.
I totally respect that, but I commend your plight. I think it's a great idea, but I cannot in my right mind recommend Majin Tensei. It is like just unequivocally.
You should play Rond screen. I hear that one's really good.
Rond.
I'm gonna play Rond. Rond's on my list, bro. I don't care. I'm playing Rond at some point. But
I do want to play 9. I actually do want to play SMT9.
I want to play 9 so bad. The Japanese is not a barrier for me. I can play with the script. I just don't have a computer that can run it well.
Oh, that sucks. My PC could probably run an Xbox over there. I just the idea of having to fucking have like an English translation up by my side the whole time sounds really fucking
the way
annoying.
I was gonna say,
it's annoying, but you get used to it.
Like Atlas is really unique in that I think this is like one of the first, maybe the only company right now, like kind of doing their advertising shit in a very unique way, in the sense that like for example, they just did Raidou, and I know that game did get an English translation or whatnot, but it hasn't been available on official platforms for at least since the PS3, and even on that it was pretty niche because it's a PS2 game.
Yeah.
They're kind of going about things in a way where they're basically relying on people, even in Japan, because again, PS2, PS3 game, to almost know about these games via like emulation or word of mouth.
For sure.
Like that's the way, and it's like very unique because you see a lot of
True.
other companies like Nintendo who are like, no emulation, no talking about our games, but like Atlas is almost, I don't know, I know they aren't literally like, hey, emulate our games, but like almost embracing it in the sense that like you have to kind of do that, or at least hear about them through somebody who has to know about these games in modern day and be excited for them. It's like a very interesting way, but I think it's worked well for them because even a game like Persona 5 really shouldn't have got as popular as it is considering the niche it's in. But I think just based on word of mouth and everybody talking about it and then putting it in another popular game that everybody talks about like Smash, like these were things that like really helped them. I think just like how attached and cultish that people get about these games to, you know, even like start a podcast about it and talk about it for 2 hours, like
is that what a fucking
such
dumb idea?
it's such a big thing to them, and that's why they in a way kind of embrace this emulation and stuff because they just want people to talk about their games at the end of the day.
That's a really good point. I think in my opinion, like one of the biggest reasons I think P5 was such a smash hit success is that like they did put a lot of emphasis on visual presentation, and first impressions really matter. So I actually think like the fact that they are going to this like to like bring back talking about like the UI earlier, going in that direction is very smart. And the reason I think they picked Raidou to remaster, my opinion why I think they picked it is because Raidou could very easily be like kind of a mascot. If you think about like who Raidou is conceptually as a character, he could be a very good foundation because you don't even have to keep it to just Raidou Kuzunoha the 14th. Like you could make games about other Raidous. You totally could. And like also in terms of like PS2 Atlas games, like Raidou, the UI in that game is very stylish. It's really similar to Nocturne's UI, but it has a lot of more flair to it. So I think that's probably why they picked it, is that it's I think they know that like it already has like a strong visual aesthetic that they can iterate on and improve. And in terms of like having like a mascot character, not like a mascot, but like
Goto.
Goto is, I love Goto. But just in terms of like having a recognizable character like that they could build off of, I think they want Raidou to like be sort of, not like I hate this term because of Soul Hackers too, but like a third pillar. Like
I think they already found a third pillar with Metaphor. To be fair, Metaphor did insanely well. A fourth pillar.
I don't know what they were.
We can. There's so many Megaten like spinoffs. We can probably have 10 pillars. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what they were cooking with that third pillar line because I don't know how the fuck they thought Soul Hackers 2 was gonna sell well. That's
they just didn't give it enough marketing. I own that game. I haven't beat it.
It's a combination of like a few problems. Like one, Soul Hackers 2 didn't appeal really hard to Soul Hackers fans, so you couldn't run off the name recognition, and it's not like it had that much name recognition. And then on the other hand, like it just wasn't like one, people just didn't like the game that much, and then.
Yeah.
On top of everything, like the advertising was just like, why should I give a fuck? Like you're not giving me much of a reason. I think the Raidou stuff already, just with like the direct way and the trailer and the way they did it, already seems more compelling than anything they did during the Soul Hackers 2 advertising campaign. Besides having Ringo.
100% agree. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that trailer they showed at the direct is really good. I think it's a really good trailer. I saw people who don't know what Megami Tensei is say, "Oh, hey, this looks pretty cool, actually." That's a really good thing.
You know what's
IncompetentC? Okay, fuck, God.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you remember? Like, let me just get this out, okay? Do you remember TGS like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever the fuck it was?
Yeah,
I think it was 3 years ago, just pre-port. Yeah, I was like, okay, they're gonna show like a Soul Hackers 2 trailer, and it was like 60 seconds of Ringo talking, and that was it. It was like there's no gameplay, nothing. I'm like, how the fuck is anybody who doesn't know what this already is going to give a fuck? And of course, nobody did. Okay, I said it at the time, I'm saying it now. All right, go ahead.
I agree. I think again, like same points. It's like the Soul Hackers 2 doesn't really appeal to Soul Hackers fans. Doesn't appeal to like the broad, like current, like main, larger Atlas fan base that got in on like Persona 5 and stuff. And it is like so incredibly hurt by just being like, you play it and you're like, oh, this is a budget title.
Yeah, it was almost doomed to fail. IncompetentC, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that box art for Raidou, the little
It's
that
so good.
It is.
It's amazing. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like old Atlas stuff, like that little visual thing they have on like his right, our left, the left side of his face. Like it reminds me of a lot of the P1 like box art, like I don't know, like similar aesthetic, like that visual thing. It looks really cool. I fuck with it heavy.
I think
The demons being his like cloak and everything is just so cool.
Yeah, I'm of the firm belief that the person who drew that probably is Doi, mimicking Kaneko's style. Like it's just like a couple little quirks about it. Like I don't think it's bad that it doesn't look exactly like Kaneko. I think it's impressive that he got it. Like if it is Doi, we don't know. I feel like it is because he apprenticed under him for a long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if he could mimic his art style like that. But the most impressive thing about it is he got like the Megami Shiraishi coloring style from like the PS2 era specifically like down really well. Like it's like the coloring style is super on point. It's really great.
Yeah, you've played the original Raidou, right, June?
Yeah, I've actually just finished it the other like over break, so I finished it recently.
How do you feel about them overhauling the gameplay so much, specifically to make it play like the second game?
Insanely necessary.
Okay.
Oh my god, it needs it so bad. So I've played a little bit of Raidou 2. I'm still in like the first chapter because I just school, not that much free time. I'm playing it when I can. But as soon as you start up Raidou 2 and you get you get control of Raidou and you get to play the combat, you're like, oh, this is actually rocks. Like it's actually fun. Raidou 1 combat, my biggest problem with it is not even like the ideas it had. I think it has a lot of good ideas. It has a lot of good ideas in terms of like adapting like the Devil Summoner, like unique things about Devil Summoner's turn-based combat into a real-time system. It has a lot of ideas, but it doesn't go far enough with them. And then in terms of like actually controlling Raidou, he's really stiff because you have like a 3-hit combo, a gun, and like a DMC stinger. But the problem is doing the stinger or finishing the 3-hit combo, there's like so much lag after it. And it just feels really stiff and just not very like satisfying. And it's just easily the worst part about the game. It's just really unfortunate that it is such a wonderful like game aesthetically and like musically, and just like the story is like pure like fan service for if you like older Atlas games. Like it is such a labor of love to me, and I love it so much. And like I think you can enjoy it even if you haven't played SMT 1 and 2, but it's really cool if you've played them. It's just so unfortunate that it has that combat because it's like, oh, it's a little bit, it's hard to like kind of like make your way through it sometimes.
I played a bit of Raidou. I didn't think the combat was that bad. I mean, it's like not great, but I thought it was like serviceable. It's like fine.
Oh, it's not bad. It's just like, it's not that good though. Like it's just kind of
honestly,
like really
you mentioning the stinger. It makes me wish like we had like a really like heavy hack and slash like Megaton game. That'd be really cool. I'd fuck with that.
Honestly, I wouldn't. Raidou 2 isn't like Muso.
Strikers is more of like Muso. Yeah,
I mean, I guess that's in the same genre now. I don't know. I don't know.
No, it's different.
Okay, good.
Not really. Like hack and slash are known for like being really combo, or like think DMC or Bayonetta, like very combo oriented, like juggle based,
like Ninja Gaiden.
Like that.
All I know,
Ninja Gaiden
is I played 2 Warriors games and fuck Warriors games. Okay, fuck Muso. Okay, fuck that shit. Strikers was okay. Strikers was the best one out of the 2 I played. Because the other one's Hyrule Warriors.
I like Hyrule Warriors.
Oh, there you go. There's something we disagree on.
I like.
It's the same criticism for both. I just don't think
it
stays interesting for as long as the runtimes are.
I played Hyrule Warriors when I was 8, and I thought it was cool. That's why I say I like Hyrule Warriors. I had a Wii U as a kid. I was eating one.
Oh my god, you're like one of 10 people who had one.
I had one too.
I was a Wii U kid, dude.
People.
Through and through a Wii U kid. That's who I am. I'm a Wii U kid 3000%. But in terms of like Raidou 2 combat, it's not like super heavy hack and slash. Like it's nothing like DMC or Bayonetta, but it's engaging. And I think like after I finished Raidou 1, it was like obviously like there was that like leak about the Steam achievements happened like ages ago. So like it was gonna happen at some point, right? But like at that point I was like, yeah, but I feel like it's not gonna happen for a while because I thought it was gonna be announced like immediately after that, and then I kind of lost hope for some reason. I don't know why I did. I was like genuinely taken aback when I like learned the news of the remaster. But like when I finished it, I was like, man, I really hope if they remaster or like remake Raidou 1, they do like make some of the combat like Raidou 2, because it would elevate the game so much. Like genuinely, I think Raidou 2 is gonna be like no, not Raidou 2. I think Raidou Remastered when it comes out. I mean, again, we've only seen one trailer, but in my current state, I feel like it could easily be like one of my all-time favorite Atlas games.
I mean, I agree. Yeah, it looks really fucking
looks very good.
Yeah,
it makes you think. Wait, what if they just like people were like upset the second game didn't happen? Knowing Atlas is like their Sega's like DLC initiative, they could just like they could just put the fucking second game as DLC for the first one if they already revamped the gameplay.
Would people really want that though? Shouldn't it get like kind of its own treatment as its own game? I don't know.
I think it should be its own game, but there's no way they don't do it because Raidou 2, like you play it and it's like it has a lot of asset reuse, which isn't a bad thing. It's just like
so it fit, I mean, I think it fit pretty well as an expansion. I mean, if that's the case,
it could be an expansion, or it could. I wouldn't mind either, honestly, as long as it's done its due diligence.
I mean, look, this could also be an opportunity for them to just expand on this series in general that has been dormant for like.
That's what the guy. I forgot his name, but the director said that.
Yeah.
Although he said his was much more of like hey, if Atlas wants to greenlight this, I'm down to direct another. Like it wasn't really saying that anything was in the works. He was more just like hey, you know, if you guys want to, I'm always down for another. But it doesn't.
I fucking love Devil Summoner. I don't care if it's Raidou 3 or if it's just another Devil Summoner game that's not Soul Hackers 2. I would be ecstatic if they made any sort of what.
Soul Hackers 3 incoming.
That's never coming. Not after how Soul Hackers 2 sold. I will say
they're not touching with a 10-foot pole, dude.
If this Raidou remaster sells well, very likely we're gonna see more. Certainly, probably at least another remaster. But we'll probably see more games in this series and more games from even other PS2 eras of Atlas for sure. Given this amount of love,
that's my fucking dream. That's my dream. Oh my god.
Soul Hackers 3 is probably dead in the water because of how I think Soul Hackers 2 wasn't it literally the worst selling Atlas game ever.
Like, maybe
Tactica's done worse now. I don't know, but like
no, Ron did really bad.
Maybe it was like of the modern era or something. But I saw there's a big sales listing. It was like literally at the bottom, so I was like,
yeah, I think you know what it is. This is my other opinion about Soul Hackers 2 is that Soul Hackers 2 was like not connected to Soul Hackers, and it wasn't connected to Devil Summoner. It was just its own thing. It'd be like a little better. It should have been a new IP. I agree. It would be like a little better.
Yeah. It probably would.
I just feel like they added Devil Summoner characters because they needed like something. They just needed some framework to build off of.
It's a shame.
Did you give Soul Hackers 2? Have you played it?
Oh yeah, I got the true ending too.
Would you give it?
6.
Could be worse.
Do you think that game's as good as SMTF?
I think SMTF is better. But it's like they're both. Oh.
Thank God, I need a new host anyways. You want to be the new host of Social Links Podcast? Oh shit.
Yeah, bet I'm the new host.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't process that.
Look, this is my unfiltered opinion about Soul Hackers 2. Characters pretty endearing. I love Ringo. She's great. I love Ringo. Great protagonist. I love Saizo. He's great. I like the blonde one. I kind of forgot her name.
No, wait, that's not. She's not blonde. I don't.
No,
the blonde.
The blonde one.
Melody.
Yeah, she's cool. I like the characters are really endearing. I think the plot is like it's good enough. Like I think it's pretty gripping. I know a lot of people have some problems with it, but when I played it, I'm like, yeah, I like this plot. I think I enjoyed it. And then the gameplay is like some of the worst, and like this, I think it's so like. I hate stack.
Boring.
Stack system is so it's demon co-op if you made it worse, and I already don't like demon co-op. So like
I think it's something like demon co-op. I think it's more like I don't know what it's like based on my personal experience, but people have said it's probably really it's more similar to Tokyo Mirage Sessions than anything else.
Oh, I haven't played TMS. That's like
I haven't and I never will. But
I will at some point. I gotta play it. I need to know what it's like. It is one of the most like no one talks about it. I need to know like if there's anything interesting about it at all. I just gotta play it at some point. But I did like the dungeons in Soul Hackers 2. Those are like the worst dungeons in the series. I would actually rather do like fucking the Persona 4 like 500 Persona 4 dungeons than ever do those like shitty cereal box mazes ever again. oh my god, they're so bad. I hate it, and like, I don't know. I think that the fact that there's no negotiation is such a massive fumble when you consider how like the thing that was special about the original Devil Summoner and Soul Hackers is that negotiation was a lot more complex and had a lot more layers to it. And now in Soul Hackers 2, you walk up to them and they just join your party. And that's kind of it.
I like the game's soundtrack. I think it has a cool soundtrack.
I think what's
That one's
there
good.
is pretty good. I think what's there is pretty good, but every dungeon has the same theme and it sucks.
Wait, they gave that one to every dungeon? Oh my god.
The piano, like the piano song, it plays in every single one.
That's actually insane. I didn't know that. Holy fuck, why?
It's awful. And also there's like 3 or 4 dungeons that are like underground subway systems.
Well, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know?
I
That's Soul. That's what they call it, Soul Hackers. Oh my god.
This is what I mean when I say like you play it and you're like, oh, this is a budget title because oh my god, this is a budget title.
It's a shame they didn't have more faith in just kind of, if they wanted to just do something so different for Soul Hackers, they could have just done a new IP if they really wanted to, and put these ideas in there. Like, they had faith in Metaphor, and maybe that was partly because of the team behind it, or maybe they saw how bad Soul Hackers 2 was, and they're like, okay, maybe we should just do our own thing. We have enough appeal at this point. But we talked a lot about remakes and remasters, because that's in the news right now, but like, I do also just want to see Atlas. In the PS2 era, they were like, all right, we're going to throw every fucking idea we have out here, all right? And now it seems like they're a lot more reserved and kind of either iterating or remaking or remastering. I don't know. I want to see them still do more of their own thing at the same time. Metaphor was a good step in that direction.
I totally agree. Like, one of my favorite things about Atlas, about Atlas's back catalog of games is like, they weren't even just doing that in the PS2 era. They were doing that until like the 2010s. Like, that was like their thing. Like, look at how many like Devil Summoner came out of the 90s, Persona came out of the 90s. Shit like, you know, like Majin Tensei was a bit of a sub-series for a little bit there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they used to experiment so much more. I totally agree. And like, I think a lot of why they are more reserved now is that just games are more expensive to develop now.
Yeah. That and like
it's just a lot. Yeah.
In that era, they were like going bankrupt like 4 times a week, and like this time now, it's like, hey, we're really successful and we know how to make successful games and keep doing things like that. So they're kind of like
that Sega money does help though.
Right? Like they're almost going for like this is gonna sound like a shot at the older games, but not necessarily. They're kind of going for like a quality over quantity thing. Like back then, they're like, we need a banger. We need something that'll make people care. We need something that'll make us not go bankrupt, and they can never really find it until I guess kind of Persona 3.
No, I don't think it's that unfair to say it's quality over quantity, because like again, like some of those older games are not. Some of them are not very good. I mean, like, you know, Majin Tensei is like the worst fucking game ever made, dude. So
I just figured it out. Wait, hold on. You know what needs a second chance with a fucking re-release or remake or another entry? Last fucking Bible, baby. Give me Last Bible remake.
Holy Truth Nuke, Super Truth Nova.
I have never played Last Bible. I was just trying to think of the most niche Mega 10 game I could think of.
What about you know we need 40 more. We need 40 more Etrian Odyssey games. All right, how many are there at this point? Like 300. We need even more. Okay.
I actually do personally think, but I don't actually think this is true. But when I think about Metaphor, I'm like, it's the Last Bible spiritual successor.
It's the fucking everything successor.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in there.
So much from everything
what was the Did we mention this when we were talking about Metaphor before IncompetentC? I saw someone say, and I've only played a little bit of the first Etrian Odyssey, so I wouldn't know, but isn't one of the dungeons in Metaphor literally like 1-to-1 with an Etrian dungeon, but like in a different perspective? Yeah. That was like, I'm like, dude, what a niche fucking thing to reference. Jesus.
That's cool. I haven't played Etrian Odyssey at all, so I wouldn't even get that. Which is like,
either, but yeah, I played it and I seen what people were talking about. Yeah, it is like literally 1-to-1. When you play it, you feel like, damn, this feels like it's from a different
game. Now that
I've
played some, actually, yeah, the enemies that move when you move and shit, that is like straight up from Etrian. So I'm like, huh.
I actually love that mechanic. This is not outside of Atlas, but I will shill this game till I die. Indie game, Toho Artificial Dream in Arcadia.
Isn't that super inspired by SMT?
It is one. It's like if it were a game by Atlas, it'd be like one of their best. Like the developer did such a good job of capturing what made like the older SMT games so good, while modernizing them and making them. This is how I say it: is that I don't think the combat in the first 2 SMT games are bad at all. I actually like them a lot, but like Artificial Dream in Arcadia kind of plays like how you wish those played. Like, it just has a lot of modern SMT mechanics imbued into it. And one of the things I like about it is that, like, some of the harder dungeons towards the end of the game, and like pretty much all of the post-game dungeons, which are like wicked hard, they're the best, by the way, all have like those FOEs, like those things that move when you move, and I think it's actually a really interesting mechanic. I like it a lot.
It is, yeah. So what was our conclusion on the Persona 4 remake? Soulless, souls, good, bad. We might as well judge it before it comes out, so everyone else does.
Honestly, it's been less of a debate and more of a discussion.
Yeah.
I don't think my stance has changed like that much, but I do feel like this was a very enriching conversation to have. I feel like I've seen some more fleshed out viewpoints on a potential Persona 4 remake that can't be had in Twitter comments.
We can't have any good discussion on Twitter. You have to realize.
Yeah, which is why I wanted to do this, because I think we were having an interesting conversation in our replies, but I hate Twitter art conversations sometimes. It's just so hard to keep track of.
Yeah,
and
because like tone is also like impossible to convey, so everyone sounds super confrontational all the time.
Yeah. So like, I feel like I still think that like they should focus on other games that like aren't accessible. But I think you guys made a lot of good points about how like, yeah, a Persona 4 remake would take a lot from Reload, like asset wise, and wouldn't be that hard to make. It's not like they're doing it from the ground up, and like, it would bring more people in. Like, it would be good for Atlas. So like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen the other side for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
and like also like when you have to consider like we're probably only getting Raidou and like at least due in part to the success of a lot of Atlas's other projects, which absolutely would count for Reload, because again, Reload sold amazingly. Like the funds gained from these projects are, especially like when it doesn't take like a super like probably doesn't take a whole lot of effort like Persona 4 would. And it's still going to be probably a good release. Like I don't think I'm going to give it a lower score than I gave the original Persona 4. I just don't see that happening. I think it's still going to be a good game, and it's going to be really good for Atlas because it's going to bring people in. It's also going to give them more to work with as far as like budgets for other titles that we could see them bring back other stuff based on the success of this too. I think that's absolutely probably going to happen, right?
I mean,
yeah, totally.
IncompetentC, I think we both agree that like out of all of Atlas's entire back catalog, Persona 4 is probably like one of the worst picks, just like looking at it in isolation, like to actually remake, like just one of the ones that
I actually don't disagree. I don't disagree that it's a pretty bad pick, like as far as they can choose, but I don't think it's pointless.
I think the saving grace is just that it will probably, I mean, it's coming out probably soon, given the domain registry. So that means either the game builds off Reload really heavily, which is why it could have such a quick turnaround, or it's going to be rushed as fuck and it's going to suck. One of those two things is going to be the case, right? So that's kind of the saving grace there. We could be like, okay, whatever.
I don't think it'll suck. I think it's pretty hard to fuck it up. I mean, like there's not that much to change, really.
Yeah, I just, my only worry would be that it just won't go far enough. Like IncompetentC said, unless they fuck up a lot of like basic things, like the gameplay and stuff, like stuff that like I'm pretty sure they have down, considering at least how I viewed Reload. But I would like them to iterate. I've been pretty outspoken about my hatred for the last two arcs in Persona 4 Golden, Marie and Izanami. Don't like those arcs very much. I wish they would give much more to it. But will they? I'm a little worried because Reload didn't add that much to Persona 3's story, even in places where it probably should have. Like at least some places in the summer.
I like the Strega stuff. I actually like the Strega
stuff.
That
was good, but like it just felt like they didn't go.
I liked it.
That was good, but like even the Link episodes and stuff, I feel like they promised when I heard all these things. I guess I just expected more than what we got. But I did like the Strega stuff, and some of the Link episodes are okay. I wasn't huge on them, but
I like Ken's Link episodes.
They're a good idea for sure.
I like the idea of Link episodes like being interactions like that happen like in relation to story events. I think that's actually really cool, because the big thing with like social links is that they're independent from the story, which is good in its own way, but sometimes there is a lot to be gained from like it makes sense. Like, yeah, I want to talk to Junpei after his fucking girlfriend dies. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's like, so true.
Even stuff they did in terms of mechanics related to that stuff. I love my social sim. Okay, I always try to stress how important that is to things like Persona. It's a big reason why I love the social sim Persona 5, and even that game I think didn't go far enough. But the dart stuff and the batting cages and whatnot, that was tons of fun. Persona 3 had kind of the dorm, right? Which is you're always seeing your friends, you're always seeing the thing. Having activities for that type of thing made a lot of sense, but I felt like the dorm activities, I can't even really think of many that were like that memorable. They were all pretty similar to each other, and nothing really stood out crazily. And I was like, I kind of wish some of these were a little bit more.
I liked when I guess was talking about that Yakuza fucking. Was it a book or a film? I forgot.
There were some good lines, and there's the Aegis one in the.
I just need to say it.
Okay, go ahead.
Is watching movies with Fuka not memorable to you?
I mean, it's cool, but like, I don't even remember what movie we watched. Okay, like
I remember the zombie film I watched with Yukari. I liked that one.
There were some, and I think there's one with Akihiko. I can't remember if it was a boxing movie that inspired him, or was it an old match of his, or something like that. Something like that. I don't remember.
An old match. I think there's two.
Like that was cool. Like there were some cool things in there, but like, and there's some memorable one. There was one I guess reads about. Is it something involving an ass crack? Am I crazy here? Did she say something like that?
Yeah, she does say something.
So, like, there's some good stuff in there for sure.
His character, that's great.
It's always.
Who's the? It's Dawn Bennett who did the new Aigis voice. Yeah. I love her. Yeah. She did such a great. I think she's like so much better than the Fez voice, and I like the Fez voice. Like she did such a good fucking job. I love it.
Somebody in chat just called you out. Apparently, you don't even watch movies with Fuka. Apparently, you only garden and breed with her. So.
What?
I think it could be you watch movies with Ken, with Akihiko.
That's what I'm saying, though. You see, I don't even know.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I know I just made that up, but the reason I thought that is because there's a line. There's a new event added in Reload when Fuka joins the team where they show her around the dorm, and there's a specific line where like Yukari shows her, it's like Yukari or Mitsuru, I don't remember who's showing them around, but it's like they show her like the TV, like the TV set. And then Fuka's like, yeah, CRTs give a more authentic feel, and I'm like, you're so real for that.
And that's why she never chose to use them. Apparently, that's crazy. She was like, nice CRT. I'm never gonna watch anything on it. All right, thanks, Fuka.
It's gonna be Reload Hate Stream Part 2 screen.
No, I fucking like Reload, and these ideas were good, and there's some good stuff in there. Like I said, we
just spent like 10 minutes like sucking it off a little bit.
There's just a lot of things that I wish went further in it.
The first episode we did, or I think it was the first one.
It was on its anniversary, yeah.
Yeah, Reload's anniversary. We're talking about Reload, and we were kind of a bit harsh on it.
Well, we weren't harsh. Like it would be like, yeah, we like Reload a lot. We even like it more than the original, and then we'd list every single thing we didn't like about the game, and everything we did like. It would always be like what I'm saying right now. I'd be like, yeah, this was good, but it could have been more. But we'd hinge every single positive statement about the fucking game. It was hilarious.
I think you have to. I think to love something, you have to be able to criticize it though.
Well, I love Persona 3. Persona 3 is like my favorite Persona game, like by far. I love Persona 3 a lot.
I think I might. I don't know if I like 2 more or not, but I think Persona 3 is just probably always going to be like my favorite. It's like that game is so foundational to like my development as a human being. Like I played when I was 14. That's a canon event. Like it's so important to like my development as like a human, and like there's other games that are like more important to me now, like MGS2 or like Drakengard or like both of the Nier games, but I still love Persona 3 is still my second favorite game of all time. I just love it. I can't. I've got so much love in my soul.
Another game like that recently for me that's like really affected my life on a deep personal level. I think it'll change me for years to come. Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh my god! I thought you didn't like it.
Oh my god, that game is so bad. Sorry, yeah, I was making a stupid meme there, but I totally get it. Persona 3 like had a big impact on me too when I played it. I played it for the first time I think it's 2022 or no, 2023. I forgot.
I played like 20. I finished in 2020.
Persona 3?
Yeah.
I finished what I did was I played P5 for the first time in 2021. And then in late 2021 I finished Golden.
I played Persona 5 for the first time and I finished it in 2018 when I was 13.
Yeah, I forgot how young you guys are. Fucking hell. I mean,
I'm like 19.
I'm later though. I played Persona 5 Royal in 2020. That was my gateway into ruining my life.
I played OG P5. That's how you know I'm real.
I also played OG P5 on RPCS 3. Royal is better.
Oh, that was the method. I had a PS4 with my 2 friends who played it alongside with me. They didn't have a PS4, so that's how they played it. That's a deep cut. Oh my god, I remember that. That was wow.
You know, it's crazy. It's like I think we could have jump-started Atlas' success. Like Atlas is like in recognition in the current day. Like we would have been like 5 years in Atlas's future by now if they just released P5 as a multi-platform title.
Yeah, I was about to say.
God.
Yeah, have you seen how much success they've had with multiplayer? Even SMT5 versus Vengeance. It's like just see I don't know why they weren't releasing these games on like other platforms, at least PC and probably Switch too, at least.
Yeah, well, you know what
like,
it is?
fuck.
I think for P5, it was like, I mean, like the P5 came out. I don't. Did it come? It came out before the Switch. It came out in 2016 in Japan. So like, I understand like not immediately porting P5 to Switch because it's like, well, we don't know if this is gonna do too well. But by the time like Royal came out, like the Switch was in its bag. Like I don't even really like the Switch that much, but like there's a reason why like Japanese devs love it so much because they make all their games sell so fucking well. So I don't know why they waited so long to do that.
Yeah, I even saw, I could see it in my own fucking video analytics. When I saw that the ports dropped, my like videos were spiking by like 4 times the viewership they had before. I'm like, holy shit, this is like a really
That's
big
awesome.
deal. Like people, I don't know why they waited so long. Platforms are a big thing, and I think the gaming industry is moving away from exclusivity anyways. It seems like.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, the PS5 has no games notoriously. Same with the Xbox though. It looks like right now the way they want to compete is literally just
everything's an Xbox screen. You don't understand everything's an Xbox.
Well, but
Yeah,
you know
true.
why they're doing that though, right? What they're doing
Yeah,
is like they want to be like streaming services right now. Where like, do I buy Netflix? Do I buy HBO? It's almost like, do I buy Xbox for Game Pass, or do I buy PlayStation for PS Plus? You know, and it's like, what games do they have on their subscription service? That's what they want to move towards. And then
this is my thing about like consoles in the modern age. Is I think exclusives are like a thing of the past now. I really don't think they're going to prevail for much longer. Like I think that the reason you buy a console nowadays is if you like just like the console experience, like you like just like couch gaming, which you can do with PC, but as much as I also love PC gaming, it's objectively more of a hassle to have like that console couch experience. And it's like maybe you don't want to build the PC to keep the cost down, and pre-builds cost more, so you just spend $500 get a PS5. Like I think that's why consoles are like that's like their use case and that's their niche now, and it's not about exclusives anymore.
Like somebody even said in chat, Xbox is actually getting their ass whipped, but there was a long-term strategy to try to pivot to PC gaming. But like, you have to look at like how successful Game Pass is right now, and like I don't like. If you look at it in console sales metrics, sure, but like they just don't care that much about that right now. I don't think. I think like the move
Game
is
Pass
like
is really good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, here's my thing though. Like, as just someone like for me, I could never get behind like a gaming subscription service because like I know you can still buy them obviously, but it's like if I'm getting all my games through a subscription service, I don't like that I don't have permanent access to them. I just don't like that. I prefer like, and I again technically like every digital game you buy, you don't technically own. You own a license to play it.
I hate that argument. It's so cocked though. I mean, come on, like it's the same.
I mean, like
as owning it.
yeah, technically they can take it away the same way, but it's like there is physical proof that I spent $60 or however much in order to have the right to play this game. But with a subscription service, it's like, oh yeah, I paid $10 a month to have the opportunity to play it. And it's like, but like, what if I want to go replay it? Now I have to go buy the whole thing, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose for me. Like I think it's cool if it works for you, it works. But like for me, it's just kind of like
about. Sorry, let you finish your thought. Sorry, something just came to me.
No, that was the end pretty much. That was pretty much the end.
I was gonna say, did you guys see that rumor about next Xbox is gonna have Steam on it? You guys hear about that?
Somebody in my chat just said Xbox is shutting down making consoles. I don't know what to believe anymore. Is that true? Are they? I don't
think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think they're going to shut down making consoles. But I did hear that like they're moving. What I understand, if it's priced right, they're trying to sell you a PC at this point that is like fine tuned towards gaming, which is honestly that's a pretty good sell. I could see that easily being a dub for them.
If they give it Steam, that is going to be like that's going to open the floodgates. Like that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that would change because honestly, I don't think I think the like trying not to make exclusives a thing anymore, and like I think exclusives are just like inherently bad for like like me like the consumer just as bad.
I agree, but with an asterisk. Okay, I always love taking the opportunity to defend big corporations. Okay.
All right.
What I'll say is one thing I'm gonna miss with exclusives is like I feel like it give companies like Xbox and PlayStation and whatnot a really big incentive to be like, hey, we need to make a really fucking good game to sell this console. Because right now we're gonna lose to Xbox if they have better. You saw this a lot, especially in the 360, PS3 era and whatnot. Like they're like, we need fucking games to sell our consoles, and that I think PS3 won that console generation just barely, and it was because by the time Xbox was near the end of its lifespan, it was doing fucking Kinect games and shit, and PlayStation had Last of Us, they had other games I can't remember, but they had I remember they had a lot of heavy hitters near the end of their lifespan. So like I feel like we're gonna lose part of that. Like they had Astrobot, and that was like fucking it. They're putting all their games on PC because they don't see this competition anymore, which is good because I play PC exclusively, even though I have a PS5.
I have a PS5. I don't have a PC but like that's that powerful anymore, which is why I use my PS5.
I have a PS5 with Series X, and I don't think I've played anything on. I think I played like P5R on my Series X once for some reason, but like that was like it.
It's so real.
But like but like there was something to it where it was like we need to like fund these really high quality games. I feel like we're kind of losing it. Besides Nintendo, because they don't care about the subscription services at all. Unless you want to view the fucking NES shit and whatnot as a competition, which lol. But what
they're not budging on that,
yeah, they are very hard on exclusives, but I mean it makes sense. Nintendo wants to go forward with this. They have so many insane first party exclusives, so it makes sense that they're going to keep doing their stuff like that. But I feel like we're going to lose that from the PlayStation Xbox crowd.
They have like some of the biggest IPs in the world. Like I think they're good. Like
yeah, so
like
yeah.
And the Switch 1 did so well, there's no way Switch 2 flops. It would be insane.
Even they're moving towards kind of a new dynamic, though. Nintendo saw how successful they were with handhelds and consoles, and they're like, well, the Switch can be a handheld and a console. And I think now that the Switch 2 is obviously going to do the same thing, I don't think they're ever going to stop doing that. I think until until the world explodes, Nintendo's going to keep doing handheld /
like hybrid consoles.
Yeah, I don't really talk about Nintendo on Twitter that much because my Nintendo phase was in like middle school, like elementary school to middle school. But like, I honestly see the Switch as such a natural progression of like them as a company where like their handhelds always did so fucking well that it just it only makes sense to combine them into one product.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's like it felt like something that you're surprised when you think about it. It's like, why didn't this happen sooner? They flirted with the idea with like the Wii U and that like you could play on the gamepad with you when you're like close to the console, but like they really landed it hard with the Switch. It was a good idea. Yeah, fuck the Wii U.
And I agree with the subscription services and whatnot. I mean, obviously I don't use them, but I don't think they're tailored to people like us. Like if you're at all like a quote unquote hardcore gamer, you probably know exactly what games you want to be playing because you're either seeing them through social media, you're just like looking at games to play, maybe on fucking backlog or something. Yeah, like you're always looking. But like if you're a casual guy, like I know that my parents, a lot of friends of mine, they exclusively get all the content they watch through like YouTube recommendations. They don't even watch movies anymore, and if they do, it's probably through like some Netflix recommendations and shit. Gaming doesn't really have that, so I think there's a lot of people who are like casual gamers, and they're like, I don't know what to play, and now you have Xbox Game Pass to recommend you. Well, here's this kind of relatively new title that you may want to play. It just came out right now, and it's already on Game Pass and shit. So I think it's like tailored towards people like that who are just kind of getting what they want through an algorithm and whatnot. Which is a good and bad thing, but, you know.
I also think the average person who plays video games doesn't finish them very often.
Probably not.
Yeah. What? No, I'm sure people start thinking finish them. I mean,
you can look at statistics on shit like Steam of how many people have the achievement beating a game. It's typically at least less than 50%. I think it counts only people who have at least launched the game once. Now there's some games with really high ones. I've checked. Atlas's actually have incredibly high rates. They're at least at like 34, which is pretty big. Like Soulsborns are really good at keeping retention like that. But like the average video game, especially ones post like their release and they're kind of going on sale all the time, a lot of people will buy them and like less than 10% have finished them.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, how many people do you think are finishing? Like, how many people do you think bought Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and then didn't finish it?
I know one. He's in the call.
I always finish my games. I don't know what you're talking. I finished. I'm on chapter 13. I'm so close to being done with it. I haven't finished yet, though.
I don't care about the haters. I loved Infinite Wealth. I think they're all stupid. I think it was really good.
Actually, Infinite Wealth's been great. I've been loving it. The story is like whatever. It's not as good as 7, but the gameplay.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my god, the gameplay's amazing.
Story's not as good as 7 for sure.
I think it's fine. Like, I like what they're doing with Kiryu. Like I
still love it.
Anything, but
I won't spoil. I still love the story of Infinite Wealth. I do think 7 is a stronger story, and I think Infinite Wealth has some problems. I don't think they're nearly as bad as people like to pretend they are. And yeah, the combat in Infinite Wealth, that's like one of the most fun I've ever had in an RPG. It is fucking like, it's excellent. It's so good. It's so fucking good. It's so like, oh my god. It's amazing.
I want to say, I just realized the best counter argument to what IncompetentC said is himself. This guy starts like 100 different games and never finishes fucking any of them. you're backlogged right now. I'm looking at your playing tab alone, and this isn't even every game you're playing. This is like at least like hundreds of hours of content. What are you talking about? You are the guy who doesn't beat games. I only play one at a time, maybe a few. All right, I've been going hard. Persona 1, Persona 2, Eternal Punishment, got those done within like what, a month of each other, okay? And that was with doing other shit in the background. You just gotta you start like 1,000 different games at once. You never finish any of them.
I finished Xenoblade 1 like 2 weeks ago. I finished Xenoblade 1 like 2 weeks ago. Okay, I finished Xenoblade.
Yeah, because you actually locked in on that one.
Playing single player games as a college student is really fucking hard.
That is kind of true, yeah.
There's a lot of shit.
It's insanely hard.
I honestly only finished one so quick because I could play that while on campus because I had my Switch.
Yeah,
see, like for me, it's like, how am I? Because like I take Adderall because I have ADHD. It's like, and it's like when you take Adderall, the thing you start focusing on, that's all you can focus on. So it's like, how am I gonna focus on? How am I gonna like split time between like my music theory homework? Fuck music theory 3. Fucking hate music theory 3. And then like now
Adderall in excessive doses.
I'm talking to IncompetentC out of a place of being there before, okay? Because I used to start 1,000 different games and finish none of them, okay? And that was fun. And then you just gotta lock in, all right? You got. It's a little more difficult for long RPGs because you can kind of get tired of the grinding and shit, which is why I kind of flirt with a few at the same time. But I feel like if you just, I used to start like a million different games and you never get anything done.
Well, but
I did finish Xenoblade 1. That is a big.
But you locked in on that one. That was the only game you played for a while.
Is a long game. That is a long game.
Yeah, but that's because you locked in. That was like the only game you were playing.
For me, I started a million
15 as well, but I haven't beaten that one yet either.
I started like a million different games, but I always usually finish them. At some point, it happens.
Yeah, and at some point we all get older. That doesn't really mean anything.
No, I'm not saying like, well, okay, but like, for example, like I started, I don't know, but I started Raidou 1 6 months ago and I just finished it like a couple weeks ago. So like, it gets done eventually.
Don't you forget, maybe I have like a really bad memory. I feel like when I take breaks for that long, I start forgetting what the fuck the story is because like things start blending.
No, I'm the same way. That happens to me.
I can usually remember after a little bit. I don't know. If it's something like Mechaten, which I'm like really eternally fixated on, I'll be fine.
Dude, the Switch is...
I just got a banger on my playlist right now. Infernal Tokyo Underground District from SMT4. God, I fucking love Ryota Kazuka. Holy
Pretty real and true. He's one of the goats.
I wish I used my Switch more because it is like the perfect platform for like RPGs and visual novels and shit. Because I could just like grab it, play for like 5 minutes, and put it down. And eventually, you'll get to the you'll get to the end. And like playing all my games on PC, I'm like I could be doing a lot of other things right now. I could be editing, I could be playing a different game, I could be on Discord, I could be trolling, I could be on Twitter. I don't know. It's really difficult to keep your attention.
there's a device for this problem.
Deck,
it's called a Steam Deck.
The thing is expensive.
I want a Steam Deck too, honestly, but
I have a Steam Deck. I have one. I use it every day because I use it as a desktop sometimes, which is kind of cursed, but it's awesome. I honestly, as far as like handheld PCs go, you could do so much worse than $400.
Isn't it like the architecture inside is pretty similar to a PS4? I hear like just in pure like raw gaming power. It's around there. I think.
It's around there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty good deal. I can't lie. Like portably, it's pretty sick.
No, I would get a Steam Deck, but they need to. I don't know. That price is kind of crazy.
400. That's only $100 more than the Switch.
I know. It's
way more. You know, that's what I want to Switch to when that drops.
I just hate spending money.
Yeah, I don't. As someone, I don't really like the Switch. If the Switch 2, like, I don't know. I might have to buy it. It's like I think it might be kind of awesome.
Oh man, they should put Persona 6 on there.
Fuck me. I can't buy anything ever again. Who wants access to my bank account? Can you just lock that shit down?
I love spending money. It feels so good. A girl like me needs to spend money.
I would say the same thing, but in the last month, I don't have dental insurance anymore, so I had to pay $1,000 for 2 cavity removals. And then my phone started fucking up, so I bought a new phone. That was like $700. I will never spend money for the rest of the year. Okay, rest of the year, anyone sees me spend money, just shoot me. All right, Raidou, I'm gonna have to steal it. Oh wait, I'm in the Atlas Partner Pro. Just gonna give it to me. Fuck yes. Thank you, Atlas. I love you guys. Thank you.
I wish Atlas should give me creator codes because I.
They should give me creator codes.
You know what
too.
though? They don't give you. Okay, hold on. I'm not gonna say anything. Mess my promotion up. But I don't think they give you the DLC, which is really annoying. Okay, so that is a little annoying. But it's okay. I still love you, Atlas.
No, they should give it to me because I tweet things though.
Based.
They don't understand how hard I defend them at every turn, every single day of my life.
I don't think that's what it's based
on.
You know they
don't know how much good publicity I bring them.
Buy an Atlas game.
You know what it is? Probably. I see people say that about my videos and tweets sometimes, but yeah, but
as a coined like Machiavellian Atlas enjoyer, I still bring
Atlas enjoyer.
I still bring a lot. Like they should recognize how much I tweet about their games and how many people see them.
You know what, IncompetentC?
Yeah.
You're the Atlas glazer. You should just stop glazing Atlas unless I give you a code, and you just shit on the game the whole time. You know?
No, but I glaze Atlas like not even out of.
Well, that's why they're not gonna give you one. You're gonna buy it and show them anyways. I mean, they give it to you for free.
Yeah, but like, okay, but shitting on Atlas on Twitter is so like 28. It's so 2019. Like it's so 2020. Like it's so
I remember the country
overdone.
accounts. Do you remember the country accounts, Jun? I remember the country accounts.
I do. I still talk to some of them.
I remember seeing them on my timeline a lot. That was
I miss SMT America. I miss that. SMT America was my goat.
Look,
I still talk. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, Quaid was on SMT Ireland. Still talk to Quaid.
Quaid.
I wonder if you can actually get into that program via Twitter. I saw it. They're honestly. We're just gonna peel back the curtain, I guess. I'm pretty sure you don't have to be that big to get into that Atlas program. Like I saw like a lot of like significantly smaller creators than me also get in it. That's why I was like, okay, I'll apply. Whatever. It seems like it'll be easy.
Marsh was telling me that I should just like start making videos for fun and just like see where it goes. But she's pretty real for that.
Yeah, like because I mean, as long as I feel like they're getting some value out of you, they'll give you a code for free. They're like, fuck it, here, make a video on it. Fuck off, right? They're like, okay.
Which honestly, speaking of Marsh, like this is like so long ago at this point, but you made a point about how like they embrace emulation. Think about it, like Marsh's whole channel is emulating their games.
Yeah.
Bro.
And he gets the creator stuff. Like, and they know of course they know. There's no way he could be making like you can't get that clean footage like of SMT1. You know what I mean? Like it can't happen unless you emulate it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, that's the reality of it. But I think Atlas and Sega in general is really good on this. They're just smart enough to know that it's not actually hurting them. Like, Nintendo wants to go after them because they have some insane policy there. And I guess they just don't give a shit about their backlogs. It's like, fuck it, whatever, who cares? But Atlas, I think, knows that, like, if they want to start iterating on these things and have them get big and have these remasters be successful, this is a natural part of it. Like, the word of mouth is the strongest type of fucking advertising you can have. I don't know if you saw that game that IncompetentC, I've been playing it a little bit recently with my normie friends because they all told me about it. There's this like repo game on Steam that got really big. It's kind of like a Lethal Company like clone. Whatever. I was like, how is this the top game on Steam for like a week? Holy shit! And I'm looking, it's just they made like a bunch of TikToks and they just got really popular. I'm like, holy shit! This word of mouth shit is insane. Friend slop. Okay. All right, we're doing it.
I never. They said slop in front of words.
We're doing it.
I miss when Among Us was like in its bag. When Among Us was really popular, that was so fun.
It was. That Death Note game that came out that was a clone of it. Me and
IncompetentC. Amazing.
That's actually not a bad game. That's a fun game.
I never got to play it. I bet it's fun though.
It's just like voice chat Among Us,
so good.
and much more depth than Among Us actually. Because when Among Us started adding depth to itself, it started to become kind of dog shit, to be honest. I don't like all the new rules Among Us.
I agree. I like when Among Us was more simplistic. Because I tried to play it. I tried to go back and play it, and it's like there's all these new rules and shit, and it's like, oh well. Yeah. Can't we just play? Can't we just go back to how it was? Because the best part about Among Us is like the mental gymnastics.
True.
Yeah,
my favorite fucking Among Us like thing that this is an argument my friend would pull out where it's like if they were trying to accuse someone of being the imposter and they happen to be red, they're like, did you know that people who choose red are statistically more likely to be the imposter?
That's bullshit.
Wait, that's gotta be a case of correlation, not causation. What the fuck?
No, that was an actual argument they pulled out, and I think it actually fucking worked. By the way,
that's kind of goaded. Actually,
you could use the opposite argument. You could be like, well, hold on, you're just only saying it because you're biased against the color red, which incites fear and violence in people. You could absolutely flip that shit easy.
That's true, but that's what I liked about it is that you just so many debate. Not even debate. It was dirty. It was just fucking verbal street fights.
The Death Note game is really good because like you get to make references to the anime when you play. Like the amount of times I have had light Yagami like light Yagami like monologues and I get caught. It's actually the most fun part of the game, the RP.
Exactly as planned. I love Light. I love who voices Light in the dub. He's the best.
I have no idea. They didn't get anime
something.
actors, as far as I'm aware. Like they actually got like regular
that was like 2006. I wanted to find out how that dub was as good as it was, and then I looked back at there's like on the Blu-ray they had like I don't know, like bonus content that showed you the behind the scenes and shit, and they're on YouTube. When you hear that director talk, you know why it's so good. He just got it. He just understood how to do an anime dub. I don't know. It was crazy.
I love Death Note. Fuck. That's like one of my. That was
so
like,
good.
I watched this shit when I was 12. Holy fuck. That's such a good show. God damn.
Like, you want to hop on Death Note? I wish that happened.
He does a crazy Ryuk. This guy and his Ryuk impression is actually insane.
Hop on Among Us.
Because I voice act him. Hop on Among Us, Light. Quit writing that stupid notebook of yours. It's time to play some Among Us.
That is really good, actually. Like, shit, that is like a really good Ryuk impression.
Oh, I voiced him in the anime. That's why. I don't usually go
that's true.
But they got me when was that anime being dubbed?
2006, probably. That's when it came out.
I was dubbing that from the womb.
Well, I think
were you born in 2006?
Yes, I was born in 2006. I'm 18. I was born in 2006.
I was born in 2005, which makes me better than you.
I'm 2002, so both you get fucked.
Yeah, which means you're a corpse, and we're gonna see you lowered into your.
I fucking hope so. Okay, this shit. I don't like this whole adult. The Persona 2. Okay, trying to make you feel good about being an adult. Fuck that shit. Wrong. All right. I can't.
No, Eternal Punishment is real as fuck about it, though. Yeah, I love it. I love the way Eternal Punishment talks about it.
I'm like mid Eternal Punishment right now because I did both routes of P1 and Innocent Sin. P1, we already talked about that one. Innocent Sin I thought was all right, but I kind of wish it went further in a lot of different ways. Eternal Punishment so far, I'm at the I did the Nanjo route. I'm in, I think, the Science Laboratory. It's been really good so far. Actually, I've actually been really liking Eternal Punishment.
The Tatsuya scenario is fucking peak, dude.
Yeah, I did the first one. That was really good. Yeah.
It's so good. I think I love Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment almost equally, but I think Eternal Punishment's definitely better.
IncompetentC, we gotta get you on these games, man.
I will play them one day. I have to play P1, and that's like already a really tall order. Like after I finish the Xenoblade series.
Dude, no, it's not. I finished Persona 1 in 3 days.
Damn, that's okay. I didn't even do that fast.
Oh, yeah, well, you're on Adderall when you were playing it? There's no way I could pull that up.
This was before I was medicated. This was in high school.
Oh my god, I could never. Oh, it's so hard to play games. Like, I mean, I can play, like, the Persona games, like, in general, like, 3, 4, and 5, I can probably play those for really long stints of time. I think they're really entertaining games. P1, I want to blow my head off even when I'm playing that game for just like a minute.
I played that. I had really long sections in P1, and this is I don't like the game, and I can tell you it's not that hard to play for extended periods of time. I feel like I don't like most of the dungeons.
P1,
okay,
P1 is one of their best games, dude.
Okay,
you guys suck.
Well,
it's one of their best. It's so good.
I mean, you know.
I mean, Tadashi, I feel like I've seen. Okay. Whoa.
I didn't even hear what he said. I didn't even
better
hear
than
what
Metaphor.
What happened?
I didn't finish.
You think it's better than Metaphor?
I didn't finish the game. I'm kidding.
Look at it. Both of these people. This is why I am gonna become the biggest Megami Tensei creator. I'm gonna Trump march. Okay, right? Look at both these people discussing games. IncompetentC got to like what? Fucking what part of P1? Like, it's after the hospital, obviously, but like, was it the Sebek building? It was like there, right? You didn't get shit through. All right. June's right after or right before Heisme, okay? I've completed both. Come to me for your Megami Tensei facts and glitches, okay? I'm gonna do it.
I have played way more Megaton games than you.
True.
Don't even fucking
but these two I've played, so I have
more. I have more media literacy than you.
Look,
it's true.
Fucking sweet.
I talked to that guy. He's kind of chill.
Fair enough.
I DM'd him on Blue Sky. I DM'd him on Blue Sky because I was for one of my classes. I had like a gen ed last semester called Fandoms and Their Discontents, and like I was having trouble writing the final paper, so I decided to write it about Persona 4 because I hated enough to like write something about it. And I was talking about like fandom discourse because it's like part of the class. So I fucking tracked this guy down on Blue Sky and DM'd him and asked him if he had screenshots of his tweets. And he was really chill.
I don't like
I think
Animal
talked to a
Jason
friend of that
takes.
person.
No, I talked to a friend of Animal Jason's who's pretty similar.
Yeah,
like they also don't like P4, but we had a really good discussion on it. Typically, when I argue against like about P4 discourse, I'm arguing with the most mind-numbingly stupid people on the planet. But this is actually I really like their arguments are actually like pretty decent. I disagreed with them, but like I think we had a pretty good discussion. Yeah.
I could say a lot about Persona 4, but we'd be here for another 5 hours.
That's got to be its own episode. Maybe June will be a future guest as well. Maybe make the return.
Yeah.
That'd be lit.
Well, I think we got to the bottom of Persona 4 Remake. It's gonna be the worst game ever, right? I think we all agree. It's gonna suck.
It's gonna be soulless
slop. It's like
soulless fucking slop.
Soulless, bad, worse than the original for sure.
The last good Atlas game ever made was Devil Children.
Yeah. Probably worse than Mazen Tensei, SMTF, and every other game we hit combined.
Worse. So bad.
So I'll be buying it day one.
Feeling more pressure but appears in the media. Better stop treating it small or medium. I'm extra large, big ticket, premium. Bout that time you believe in me. Yeah, I'ma lay it down, grabbing that crown. Laying dollars on the ground, gonna double up now. 65 to 4 and 3, 2, one more time. Heavy punchline about to prove it. Lay low, lay high, lay low, lay high. Clear your heads now, watch a peek. Let me go and prove my worth, let me earn it. Gonna pass this test and get me a permit. Watch how I do, sit down, observe it. Fires in my soul, uncontrollable burn. Look at me then, look at me now. Correct your bones to rule cool, make it bow now. Class 1 to a point to see. Blow kiss goodbye while they scream and shriek.